Okay, welcome everybody. We're just going to get started in about a couple of more minutes. I'm going to give it maybe until 6:35 for the rest of the members to come in. Thank you. And then like Okay. Good evening, buenas noches. We're going to call this meeting to order at 6:37. This is the Parks and Cultural Affairs Committee of Community Board 12. And if you have not signed in, please do so. I welcome everybody on behalf of Community Board 12. We have some very important items to address. And as I'm going to try and manage the chat, the Q&A. So I just want to say that we've already been made fully aware of the concerns of the community with regards to Bennett Park. And that discussion will happen during new business because we want to get through the items in our agenda. We do have parks present to answer those questions. And I believe that Commissioner Shimura will be joining us as well to answer those. We just want to make sure that in fairness to the meeting and the rest of the programming, that the meeting does not get monopolized just on a single topic, which is also important, but we also want to be fair in addressing everybody's concerns, everybody's programming, and to promote a fair democratic distribution of time and agenda items. As a reminder, if you want to get on the agenda, those requests go straight through Central, Mr. Smith, Ebenezer Smith. And that will be on the third Thursday of every month to be on the agenda. Otherwise, if you have programming updates, those are done during agenda item number 2. And you get 2 minutes to introduce yourselves and just announce your programming. We don't have any resolutions tonight, so we don't require quorum. So we shall begin. I don't have many updates or announcements other than concerns with regards to Bennett Park. So we have been in discussion with our elected officials, our commissioners, and they were invited tonight. And that's why we allocated a separate agenda item in new business to address those concerns. And I'm going to get started with straight to programming updates. Let's see, Marty, do you want to start? Noma.
Yes, good evening, everyone. We have a call for artists at this time for our upcoming exhibition, Uptown Treasures, Past and Present. The deadline is April 23rd. You can see our website, nomanyc.org. That's NOMAANYC.org for info and a submission form. We also have small grants for individual artists up to $5,000. That application process open until April 19th. 10 grants will be awarded. See our website for more. NOMA's 15th annual exhibition of Women in the Heights. Gallery hours are 1 to 5 p.m. Tuesdays and Saturdays through May 7th and by appointment. We have works by 44 artists in our gallery for you to see, so drop by this Saturday between 1 and 5 if you have time. You can become a NOMA member and access 4 studios that are discounted, priced with artists in mind. Details and the pictures of the studios are all on our website, nomanyc.org. And very soon we will announce the Uptown Art Stroll poster contest winners. $1,500 to the grand prize winner, $750 for second, $500 for third. And we invite you all to the 22nd Uptown Art Stroll opening reception, 7 to 9 p.m. Friday, May 31st at the United Palace. I'll tap all that into the chat. If you have any questions, my email will be there. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Marty. Any questions for Noma with regards to this? The exhibit was amazing. I did go to that opening. I encourage everybody to go. I also went to the opening of Dominican New York's at the Hispanic Society. And as soon as Natalie Espino joins, and if she has an update, she can update on that activity. Next, I have Catherine. I'm going to promote you. If you can just be patient with me. Let's see. Okay, who else do I have? Yes, Stephanie. He's gonna up theater. So let's do, while I promote Catherine, then we have a board member doing a programming update. Take it away.
From right here, is that good?
Oh, sure, absolutely. Yeah, we have the owl.
Okay.
Is the owl not turning?
Can you guys hear me? James Bosley of Theater Company. We've been performing new plays exclusively in Inwood and Washington Heights since 2010. So we're 14 years old. And we've been frustrated in accessing all of the community. So we've begun, finally we got enough money to do this, having simultaneous translations. So for our new play, Lost Sock Laundry, which takes place in a laundromat, that's about different immigrant communities coming together in this laundromat, confronting their differences and healing their differences. We're going to have this simultaneous translation. Anyone who comes and uses the simultaneous translation to Spanish or ASL will get a free ticket for that performance. We're trying to promote this new program that is new for us, and so in order to do so, we need people to take advantage of it. So I have some flyers at the table up here. Anybody engaged in this room and wanted to check it out, there's some material on the table. Yes, thank you very much.
And where it's being held at?
Oh, it's right here on 181st Street, Fort Washington Collegiate, Fort Washington, and 181st Street. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank
Is it
you.
fast enough?
Oh, that's fantastic.
Too fast.
But it was great. It was great. I forgot to put my timer, but I think it was right under 2 minutes. So thank you so much for that. Hi, Danny. How are you? Good to have you. Next we have Catherine Hughes, who is the Executive Director for the Morris Jumel Mansion.
Hi there, thank you. We have a Family Day activity, which is free at Morris Jumel from 1 to 3 on Saturday. That is making seed mosaics, so they're really beautiful. Come on down. And then particularly for the Community Board 12 audience, we have our second update on the restoration. That will be Wednesday evening. It is a virtual parlor chat. And so please join us for that update on the restoration. That will be 7 to 8:30 on Wednesday, April 17th. You can register for it. It's free, but you can register for it on our website, morrisjumel.org. And we also want to invite people to our George Washington dinner. That is, save the date, July 14th, coming up. And Catherine Diaz, chair of the Community Board 12, is going to be one of our honorary chairs. So we're very excited about that. Thank you.
I have a question, Catherine.
Question.
Yep.
Are you guys gonna be able to, because I know it's kind of, I know how expensive it is to do this, but will you be providing any sort of, discounted tickets for the community so that more people from the neighborhood can
Stay
attend?
tuned. Yeah, we've talked about that, Alexis. So if you are interested, please email me, and that would, I'll put it in the chat.
Thank you, dear.
Catherine, with regards to updates on the capital improvements, is this webinar, is this going to be recorded for people to access to get those updates later on?
Yeah. Yes, like our prior one that we did in the fall, this will also be up on our website, so you can access it. It's going to be on our YouTube channel.
Fantastic. And also, as a reminder, this meeting is also currently being streamed live on YouTube, and it will be recorded for later access if anybody wants to be informed on the programming and also the issues that will be discussed tonight. Okay. Let's see. I have Trevor Merck from New York Parks. Now, I know that Jana does parks updates and also information. So do we want to collapse parks and do everything in one linear way for programming and projects? I would like to do that if that's possible so that we can give opportunity to non-parks to continue presenting.
Well, Chair, just quick note, Trevor and I both have very different purviews. He's the rec center and I'm the 35 parks. So we both have separate programming updates. We could do it together.
Fantastic. No, Trevor, go ahead. Take it away.
I actually just have a very quick one. Trevor Merck, manager of Highbridge Rec Center with New York City Parks. Next Saturday at Highbridge Park on 173rd in Amsterdam, we'll be hosting our Spring Festival, Family Fun Day, and we'll be having all sorts of activities and games, challenge courses, obstacle courses, The whole family is invited. It'll be a really fun time. It's from 12 to 3 p.m. next Saturday, the 20th of April. We'd love to have you there. There'll be tons of stuff for the family, food and all. And that's it for me. Thanks for having me.
Thank you. Thank you for joining us. Thank you. Okay.
Do you want me to go, Chair?
Hold on, for programming, Marilady, I know that you usually have programming updates. Do you have any programming updates? Marilady Pimentel, you can let me know in the chat and I'll promote you.
You're gonna put us in as a program?
Yes. Okay. All right, yes, programming update.
Okay, you guys can hear me, maybe see me. My name is Joy Hecht and I'm here with Bob Barnett and we're both with Harlem River Community Rowing. And we're really just here because we're in Inwood Park. You may have seen our boats and we wanted to introduce ourselves and say, this is who we are. And if you want to row, you can. We are an adult rowing program. We are open to anybody. You can be experienced, you can be inexperienced, you can be a total novice. We teach rowers, only adults, because New York has the program for high school kids. So everything we do is free. We've got, basically, we row on Saturday and Sunday mornings mostly, and we'll be starting to row weekday evenings in May. We do have some novice programs planned for this year. So if you or somebody you know, adults only, is interested in learning to row, email us, and we can put you on the list for the novice program. We launch off the dock from Muskota Marsh. We store our racing shells. If you've been down there, you've seen them. They're outdoors. They're outside the Columbia boathouses. Outdoors makes us very nervous, but that's our only possibility of where to put them right now. We operate under permits from the Parks Department. We met with John a couple of weeks ago to talk about it. We coordinate with Columbia Crew when we need to about uses in the space. And we've got a very long 8 next to the wall in one of the buildings, and then we've got a rack with 3 other boats on it, a quad and 2 doubles. So that's where our boats are. If you ever are down there and you see somebody messing with our boats, let us know. Our email address is down there on the signs. We worry a lot about them being outside. We're going to be starting on the water this weekend on the 13th. So we'll be rowing weekends. We'll have, people going out in the evenings starting probably in May and a novice program beginning later than that. So if you're interested in more information, we're harlemrivercr.org or info@harlemrivercr.org.
Can you repeat that, sorry, for the minutes?
For the minutes, yeah.
Yeah, the website is harlemrivercr, all one.org.
CR1?
CR in all one word,
Okay.
harlemrivercr.org. So that stands for Harlem River Community Rowing.
And your email?
And the email for the club is info@harlemrivercr.org. You can also email me at joy.hecht@harlemrivercr.org. But stuff to the info account we'll get to.
HECHT. Thank you, Jen.
Thank you.
Or Bob Barnett.
Yeah, and all our programming is free.
That is important. All programming is free. Yes.
We look for grants. We're always looking for grants. We hit people up for donations, but it is free. Thank you for letting us in.
And did you apply for discretionary funding this year?
We did not, because we didn't actually think we were likely to get it. Jana said the same thing. And we had looked at it and sort of thought, we're not likely to get this, so we didn't. Next year we will. Yeah, next year we will.
Keep coming, and I'm gonna hold you to it.
Yeah, sure. No, that's great. And we'll come back here, whenever we have anything to take up your time with, but we won't come back if we have nothing new to say.
You're always welcome. We welcome everybody, members of the
And if
community.
anybody cares, I prepared a PowerPoint, which I'm not going to present, but if you want a copy of it, I'll give it to you. If you don't,
Send it to me.
I'll-
And then next month we'll
Okay, I
present.
have to give it to you in a way that you can download, because I put a 7-second video in it.
Well, you're
It's
presenting
amusing,
next
but it
month?
makes it too.
Yeah,
easy.
next month,
But
yeah.
I'll get it to you.
Thank you.
Right.
Tracy, you had a,
I did. I have 2 questions that may seem obvious to rowers, but aren't maybe to non-rowers. When you say rowing, what types of boats are you talking about? Are we kayaking, crew? Are we doing
Racing
cruise-
shells.
Racing shells,
Racing shells.
like
Crew.
through the way we see in movies and stuff on the
The
river.
way you
Got it.
see on the Harlem River when New York is rowing, that's what our boats look like. This is
Okay, no, Harlem
long,
River,
skinny racing.
long skinny racing boats. I'm just sort of saying for those that are.
this is very
I was
good.
like,
Yeah.
is this canoeing? What are we
Yeah,
doing?
and I laugh because I have no idea. A boat is a boat
Right.
for
Let me
me.
say one thing about that, because we are I'm also a kayaker, sea kayaker. I actually kayak out of Yonkers, not out of Inwood. But there's all these free kayaking programs around, and a total novice, never been in a boat in their life. You go down there, they'll give you a life jacket, they'll put you in the boat, and you can go spin around in circles. You can't go anywhere. You can't do that with a racing shop. That's why we have novice training programs. It's a 6-week program. It's a commitment. They're extremely tippy. They're extremely fragile. So novices really have to learn how to row. Unfortunately, because we'd love to be able to just go, come on down to the boat and get try it.
No, it was more about, we all know row your boat. I'm like, I can row, but now it's learning crew, got it. My Ivy League dreams can come true. Okay, my second question is, you stated, you said, oh, we put down an Inwood. For those that don't know, what would be the closest cross street? I'm coming from the train. How do I get there? Where is it?
Okay, the closest subway is 205th Street, 15th on the 1 train. And you've got to go into Inwood Hill Park, the address of Muskota Marsh, which is part of Inwood Hill Park. It's 275 West 218th Street. You walk down or up, because it's uphill 218th Street from the subway. You basically make a right into the park and go downhill to the water on the ramp. So that's where it is. And if people need to know another landmark, whoever's watching this video later, Inwood Farms, which is the delightful restaurant and coffee house and cafe and everything, and bar too, where we sometimes go for coffee after we row. You basically go to there. They're at 218th and whatever. And then that's right where you get a ramp to get down to Muskota Marsh, which is the really cool landscaped marshy area with the boardwalk. And
Where people used to bathe back in the 40s in that area. I've seen the black and white picture, so.
There and there.
No.
Our boats are immediately outside of the Columbia Boathouse. That's where they are, outside. And that dock, which Columbia rarely uses, that's what we use. And there's some kayakers who launch there and stand up paddleboarders and stuff too.
And just to address one point you made, is rowing is a low impact sport, so people of all ages can participate as we do.
Yeah, we call ourselves the Medicare crew. There are many people much younger than us on the club and one older.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I'm also answering questions on the chat, so apologies. So Tracy also always keeps me, because, I live in Inwood, so I'm assuming that everybody knows Inwood, and then you clarify, which is fantastic, and that's why we're such a good team here in Parks. So I have also Robert Burke that would like to speak. Robert, go ahead.
Hey, everyone. This is Robert Burke. I'm Executive Director at Hudson River Community Sailing. We've been up at the Dyckman Marina since 2017. We have 3 major program areas. The biggest one is youth. So we work with the public schools in the neighborhood. We work with 5 schools at this point, and they've been busy all winter. They build boats and they build remote controlled robots that they just brought over to SUNY Maritime because they're underwater robots. So things have been really busy, and we're really excited to get the youth back to the marina and on the water. We also have an adaptive program for people with disabilities, and we grew that quite a bit last year. We have 10 different agencies that we worked with that bring people, a lot of them with spinal injuries, to the marina. But we do have some additional funding to expand that this year. So I would ask the board if you know of groups and agencies in the neighborhood or that would like to get involved, to get in touch with us. And the third area, our member and our public sailing will kick off May 1st is the official date of the opening for us. But we're very fortunate to be able to have boats in there for the Car-Free Earth Day on April 20th. So we have a community day that day that'll run from 10 to 4. And we'll have boats, and we're doing it on a walk-up. We have some pre-sign-ups, and I sent the chair our flyer, and I can put it in the chat. But we'll be over there all day, and we'll have a table at the on Dyckman Marina. And then the last thing is we're still in discussions with Parks around the marina closure, which is scheduled for next year, trying to get some more details, trying to figure out how to mitigate what will happen to us for and during that closure. So I'll keep this community board posted on that. We're trying to figure out if there are staging options and things. You know, we've invested a lot to try to make these programs go, and we're hoping to avoid a complete shutdown. So that's where we're at. We hope we see a lot of people on the 20th. It's the first of our monthly sailing events. Our sailboats are available for about 5 people, and you can be of any age and up from 5 years up and over. So I know people were talking about the sport. So it really ranges, and we try to serve and try to be as inclusive to everyone who wants to sail. So that's my update, and thank you for including me.
Thank you so much, Robert. Thank you so much for that update. Do we have any questions for Robert Burke? No questions. So I don't see, Barbara, you're mute if you have a question.
Barbara.
Barbara, you're mute. Barbara, you're mute.
Can't hear you, Barbara.
Barbara, I'm asking you to unmute.
Can you unmute her?
No, I can't. Let me see. I'm just asking
Can
to
we do it from that
unmute.
computer?
Hold on, Barbara. We're gonna see if we can get you to unmute from the other computer.
Right, but the problem is if they're on the agenda. Oh, no, I think that's it. Oh, well, actually, no. Yeah. Yeah, like that.
No.
Barbara,
do you want to log off?
Wait,
Oh.
no,
Say Julio, yeah.
no.
Barbara, do you want to leave and come back? Sorry. Oops. Okay, we're gonna have to get back.
Unmute. I just found it. Did I unmute?
Yeah. Or she could have held
Okay,
up. Fine.
All
thank
right.
you. I wanted to say, when he was asking for his disability program, has he contacted the Veterans Hospital over in Kingsbridge?
Yeah, yes, that's actually our biggest client, Barbara. We work with the VA out of the Bronx and their spinal unit, and they're probably the most consistent group that sails with us. So yes, absolutely.
Okay. Also, we're in contact with Men's Rehabilitation Parolee Group that's at the prison at 165th Street in Amsterdam. And many of the men there who've been released from prison are disabled. And it's a reentry program. And they're working on many rehabilitation models. And I think it would be interesting if you reached out to them, because sailing has an incredibly therapeutic component to it.
Sure.
Yeah.
Barbara, I'll put my email in the chat, and if you could just connect me or send me, where you think I
To the
should go, we'd be happy
superintendent
to.
there, exactly, yeah.
Okay,
And I think
great.
that they're trying many hydroponic farming, things like that. So I think if you could find some modality where you could connect with him, I think that would be an excellent possibility. Also, are you in touch with the Center for Independence for the Disabled in New York, Sydney?
It's not one of the groups we're currently working with, but we have maybe from an advisory place, but let me look at that.
Okay, look up Sydney, CIDNY, Center for Independence of the Disabled in New York. It's not specifically in Community Board 12, but it's a major umbrella group for the disabled, which promotes independence for the disabled. And I can't think of anything more independent than sailing. And if you just threw them and talked to them and said, gee, how could we reach out through you or through groups, that you're working with, you might make a connection, if only to an individual there who wants to champion a connection.
Absolutely. Thank you for those leads. And, I just want to say the person who manages our adaptive sailing program is a Inwood resident, and she's an occupational therapist by training and a sailing captain too. So I will pass that along to her to make these connections. So thank you.
Okay, and I will connect you with the superintendent over at the reentry program at 165th Street.
Excellent. Thank you.
Promised. Okay, and now I'm unmuted. Okay. On this, I'm using this Android large phone and it doesn't have the usual buttons, to push to
Oh,
deal with it. Yeah, sorry.
she has to swipe right or something like that.
Yeah, thank you, Barbara.
I muted her.
Yeah. Even better.
Ben, if you can just drop your email once again on the chat, that'll be great.
Yeah.
I don't see any other organizations wanting to, Julie McCoy, yes, Julie.
Hello, everyone. Julie McCoy from the Inwood Canoe Club. A couple of things we've got coming up. One is that on the Car-Free Earth Day, which will have the closures of several streets, including Dykeman, west of Broadway, essentially, we will have a tent out on there, and we will bring out a kayak. So anybody who wants to stop by and just have us sit in a kayak there on the ground, that's absolutely okay. And on that same day, we're going to have our boathouse open for touring. Now, the water is still too cold for casual paddling, but we're happy to have people come and visit the grounds, see inside of the boathouse. We will have some boats down to talk about. We might be working on some of them, and of course, to take in the view. So that will be Saturday, April 20th. We also have it can't be too soon yet to say that starting Memorial Day weekend, that Sunday will be the start of our regular Sunday morning free walk-up kayaking program from about 10 o'clock until 12. So that will be Memorial Day weekend, the last weekend of May.
Can you repeat the times?
Julie, can you repeat the time, please, for the minutes?
Sure. From about 10 o'clock until 12. We usually get there earlier to set up. People keep arriving earlier because they want to be first in line, but technically it's from 10 to 12. And we take out short groups on river trips. So about a mile, depending on the current, depending on the group. That is from 10 o'clock to 12 o'clock Sunday mornings, Memorial Day weekend through Labor Day weekend. We also are going to participate in City of Water Day, which is Saturday, July 13th. We're waiting to get approval to use a different location as a walk-up, basically another walk-up program. We're hoping to have some other events, and we'll have some news on that certainly before July. Last thing I want to say is I think we have another organization, Uptown Paddling. Apologies, I'm late. Perhaps they spoke already, but we will be working with them to provide some youth programming, and that will include having having somebody who graduated from SUNY Plattsburgh's Expeditionary Studies program, who is a qualified kayak guide, who will have working with some of the programs on that. So that's that. Still a little chilly. Hope to see you all in a couple of weeks, and definitely Memorial Day weekend.
Okay. Any questions for the New York Canoe Club? For Julie? Thank you, Julie. Thank you so much for that.
Thank you.
Let's see. I don't see any other of our organizations to do programming, so we're going to move to parks. But if you okay, hold on, attendees. Oh, Marilady, yes.
We're not passing any resolutions, right?
No. Marilady, you have to unmute. Let me see. Okay. No.
Thank you.
Okay.
Oh, get away from me.
Hello. Just three events. This Thursday we have the working
Marilady, I'm sorry, Marilady. Please remind us what organization you're from, please. Thank you.
Hello, Marilady from WIAT. I am the bilingual organizer. On Thursday, we have I'm going to say in Spanish, but the topic is prevención del envenenamiento en el hogar, poisoning prevention at home. We have a dilemma from the poisoning department, for the health department. And then on the 13th, which is our membership meeting, we will have candidate forum for assembly District 68. And then on April 16, we're going to Albany for lobby days for S-Bill packet. And then on April 20, we have Cecil covering Mara Street naming. And all of that, I'm going to put it on the chat for the website. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mighty Lady. Thank you.
Thank you to you.
Okay, I'm gonna. You still have your hand up, Mighty Lady, so. Hand. Okay, so I think we are ready to, for parks, to do programming and project update. But again, if this has anything to do with Bennett Park, we're going to be addressing these concerns exclusively during new business. We do have the commissioner here in this meeting, who will also be here. Commissioner Shimamura, thank you so much for joining us. So we have the commissioner here as well. So right now we're going to give the time allotted to parks to do their usual programming and capital updates. So Jana Lasorte, welcome.
Hello, thank you so much. Hello, everybody. Thank you, Luana, Alexis, Tracy, Danny. Hello. So I'll start with programming. We have some amazing programs, you guys, in April. So this Thursday, I want to invite everyone to please join us. In Woodhill Park, we have two phenomenal sculptures that have been installed right at Shirakapak Rock by a Pueblo artist, whose name is Rose B. Simpson. She's really phenomenal. Just had work at the Whitney. And our Commissioner Donahue will be speaking at 9:30. Commissioner Shimamura will be with us, and also First Deputy Commissioner Rodriguez Rosa. And we hope that many of you will turn out and join us. 9:30 a.m. The event will be about an hour long at Shirakapak Rock. That is this Thursday, April 11th. On Saturday, April 13th, we have the annual Shearing of the Heathers. If you like bagpipes and want a heather boutonniere that you can walk away with, we brought in Cloisters Museum this year to do a craft table with us. There's also Men in Kilts. You never want to miss that, including our gardener, Craig, for Fort Tryon Park. So it's a wonderful day, giveaways, face painting, and just a great spring fling. Speaking of that, as you heard from Trevor.
At what again?
Yes, 10 o'clock. The Heather Garden, Shearing of the Heathers is at 10 o'clock on April 13th. And I will drop these in after my report as well, Chair. April 20th, you heard from my colleague Trevor at the Highbridge Rec Center, the Spring Fling. We definitely want to thank our council member, Carmen De La Rosa, for her partnership in that event at Highbridge starting at noon on April 20th. We have three wonderful Earth Day events. April 19th and 20th, both of those days, Friends of Inwood Hill have produced a wonderful sequence of Earth Day events. So please check their website, Friends of Inwood Hill. I'll also put that in the chat, though. On April 21st, Earth Day at Fort Tryon Park. And April 27th, Earth Day at Highbridge Park. Additionally, I really want to promote a fantastic borough-wide, we are the site of it, Highbridge, for Let's Green Initiative, which is our parks initiative to really bring all the community together for hands-on fun and volunteering at one of our parks in the borough. And Highbridge was chosen as the park for us in Manhattan. So that's April 26th. I'll provide my email in the chat if anybody's interested to volunteer with us that day. I would love to hear from you. In terms of, you heard from Car Free, the only other event I wanted to flag, and this is in May later, but it's my park day. We're getting some wonderful responses to volunteer events for It's My Park Day. So if you have ideas, if you haven't signed up yet with Partnership for Parks, again, you can email me, I'll put it in the chat. If you're interested to put something together around a park you love. In terms of capital, we have ongoing capital projects at Cascade Playground, at Bennett Park, as we know, at Dykeman Rest, at Monsignor Kett, and at the Adventure Playground. I'm happy to say our beautiful bathroom there just opened. Yes, indeed. And since I see Tracy raising her arm there, the owl is doing its job. I want to thank the community around Roger Morris Park, our beautiful public park, for an outstanding egg hunt day that the board of Morris Jamel Mansion, Morris Jamel Neighborhood Association, and our dog run community led by Avatar Nelson really rallied, and I also brought in NYPL as a partner. So also big thanks to our egg hunt team, the Fort Tryon Park Parents Committee. We had an incredible turnout at Billings Lawn. So that's my, those are the highlights, Chair.
Okay. Thank you so much. Barbara,
Can you unmute me?
you are mute.
My girl Barbara.
Am I unmuted?
Yes.
Okay.
I can hear you.
Okay. Jana, did you say that the Monsignor Ket bathrooms are finished?
No, that was the adventure playground, Barbara.
Oh, okay. All right.
Monsignor Ted is underway. Actually, we went by yesterday, and the Komatsu was there on site, digging up the earth.
Okay. When do you think Monsignor Ket bathrooms will be finished?
We'll have an update for you at the next meeting, but it could be, as long as a year.
Okay, because I'm concerned about the Dykeman basketball season will be starting soon, right? And I would like to have maybe on the agenda, Luana, for next month, the Parks Department and the people that run the Dykeman basketball program, and maybe also Cedro and people from Chamber of Commerce discuss how to run that, especially things like food vendors and parks putting some porta potties there. I mean, this is a major event in the city and attracts people from out of the neighborhood.
Yeah, Miss Barbara, I worked on this last year. I'm well aware. And just as a reminder,
Wait, who's talking? Who's talking?
Jana.
Oh, Jana. Okay, fine.
Hi.
Oh.
Yes, I worked on this last year, so definitely aware of that. And just a reminder, a lot of people don't seem to know that there are public restrooms right at NYRP. So there is a public restroom right there available to anybody across from Dykeman houses.
That, though, is on the other side of the basketball courts and is like a 3-block walk.
It's true, but I just wanted to note that as an opportunity because a lot of people don't know about it. And to your point, that's not going to be adequate for the tournament, for sure.
Sure. So we need to talk about porta potties. We also need to talk about food vendors. And I would like that local merchants be the food vendors, especially vendors, businesses that are east of Broadway, 809, Kachapa Simas, and, Panda Chinese, places like that. So how do we set that up? How do we make that happen?
One note of clarification there for you, and I love your passion, and is that the Dykeman basketball team, they put this together as a special event. So they work with our special events office at Parks. So any vendors that they want to bring in, they have to work with our special events office. So I can, tell you more about that offline, but that is their event. It's not a Parks event, it's their event.
Okay, so therefore they have to bring in approved vendors, though.
Yes. Well, yes, exactly.
All right, so why don't we have a telephone call about it, and maybe also with Cedro Medina, who's uptown.
Yes, I know Cedro.
The bid, Cedro. Okay, in other words, we want to get, and I'm sure that they would. I've had some contact with people who are involved with the event, and they urged me to raise the temperature. I don't want to say it, and to bring this up, especially the bathroom issue. So
they were pretty happy last year. They had brand new, spanking beautiful court and Monsignor Ket playground. I was at the ribbon cutting, and it's just a joy to see everybody using it. So thank you for your interest.
Oh yeah, to see the playground is great. Yeah, the playground is great. Then my next question is this: on the Dykeman Rest, which I don't know if you know this, that's my pet project. It looks great. Things are coming along on it, but what is our completion date? We had been told like not till January, February, but who does it? Who opens the playground in January, February? And Steve Simon said he hoped that he could get some kind of soft opening in November
or October. We'll definitely update you on that. The contractor, has to give us updates for us to then give you updates. But to your point, we would be planning that ribbon cutting, ideally at a time when people will come out and use the space. One note, I'm glad you raised that, Barbara. As people may know, there was a small dog run planned into that site, and I'm hopeful that people in the community who have dogs and want to become leaders of that dog run will also reach out. So just a note there, because all dog runs in the city are run by citizens, not parks.
Yes. Yes, absolutely, yes. And I think that possibly some flyering along the Dykeman houses in the hillside Nagel
Mhm.
area. We will have a dog run. We need to have, a committee formed, and that kind of thing will be helpful. And I think the community board can play a role in that.
I would love to work with you on that, Barbara. Thank you.
Sounds good. Okay, absolutely. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Barbara. Good to have you.
I'm trying to get back in there. It's just
You're
my
good.
health.
You're good. You're good.
You're good. Yeah.
Not the same without you, Barbara. So
Thank
I have
you.
Danny Bonilla who has a question, and then Catherine Hughes.
Hey, Jana, quick
Hey,
question. And I don't think you mentioned this, but I think last time Chris was here, he spoke about the closure on the Henry Hudson path. Have they opened that? Did they close
Well,
it?
Yeah, with the detour, we don't have an update on it, but it looks like the detour is not going to be needed. So the last time we checked in on it last week, it looked like the detour would not be needed. So our colleagues, John Harold, I don't know if Kelly is on the line, Kelly Jordan from Riverside Park and Fort Washington south of the GWB, but they are involved with this as well. So we can get you an update on that, Danny.
Cool, yeah, because I remember he said that they were going to close it for 40 days, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes,
so
40.
It's looking like it's not needed.
Okay, cool. But is it closed now?
No.
Okay.
It's not.
No.
Well, that's fantastic.
It's still open now. Okay.
Yeah.
All right, cool.
So just to clarify, it seems that we won't be closing this.
That's right.
That is fantastic. I'm quite sure that everybody will be very happy about that.
Yeah.
And with that said, we will follow up with you tomorrow to give you the latest we have.
Awesome. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
And then Barbara, I was going to say before you continue, Barbara, that maybe also Joel, he is the chair for small businesses. So I will definitely reach out to him and Domingo Esteves, who is the chair for youth, to discuss this cross collaboration among Community Board 12 committees, one dealing with youth and education and basketball, and then also small businesses. So hopefully by the end. Yeah, go ahead.
Luana, thank you for mentioning that, because I just wanted to give a shout out to Domingo. We're partnering with him on the Earth Day at Highbridge on April 27th.
Okay. For those of you.
Domingo's am I muted?
No.
Am I muted?
No.
Okay. Yeah. Domingo's my close pal. There's no problem with that. We can touch base. One last question. One last point. Just a point. Congestion pricing, may come, right? I'm concerned that cars will park where the new cafe is. There's about 10 parking spaces in the lot across from the cafe and right underneath the cafe.
Barbara, what cafe?
What
at
cafe?
Fort Tryon Park? At Fort Tryon Park, Barbara?
At Fort Tryon Park, yes. There's that parking lot there, and there is also about 6 spaces right underneath the cafe and across from the cafe. I believe you need to do some signage, 2-hour parking for cafe residents and cloisters visitors only, something like that.
Yeah, we are actually looking at all the parking within Fort Tryon Park, working with PEP and also working on a larger plan related to congestion pricing, as you noted, and also just some usage of the parking that's not legitimate.
Well, that's also a conversation to be had with the Traffic and Transportation Committee, and Debbie leads that. Nabavian, I think that's her last name.
Monday.
Yeah, so that's also something to bring up to that committee as well. But of course, we talk about the cross, no pun intended, pollination of issues. So any questions with regards to programming updates for parks?
Well, actually, one note, speaking of Fort Tryon Park Chair, just a heads up for everybody. You may have noticed this if you've been along Broadway or at Margaret Corbin Circle, but Law and Order is taking all of the parking.
Saw that.
Tomorrow.
They took everything.
Including my block street.
Yeah.
So, yeah. What else is new?
Just heads up.
Thank you.
Does anyone know how much they're paying and who they're paying?
Maybe the Mayor's Office of Media Entertainment knows that.
Well, you In the past, they have compensated the buildings that are impacted.
Well, I don't know anything about that, Barbara, but Law and Order, I
Okay.
know, is a New York, legend.
I know.
Alexis has a question, Jana.
Jana,
Mhm.
just email me everything you said because you were talking so fast, I couldn't catch it.
Remember that we're keeping minutes. Yes, even though these meetings are streamed live and people can access it, we still need a written record to be in compliance with disabilities and all of that.
I
So,
am putting it in the chat.
so if you can, no, just email, just email
Oh,
it.
Okay, you got it.
Okay, and Danny has a
Thank you,
question.
Alexis.
I have a question. That workshop that I'm doing, is that a workshop that people can sign up for, and is it free?
So J. Hood Wright was looking for local artists, everybody. And I know one, he just spoke. And I thought that the young people would be dazzled by knowing someone from the 191 train tunnel. So yes, but work, Danny, with Ava and everybody. But yeah, that is available to everybody.
Sweet, awesome. Because I'm not too sure if you even if you mentioned that in the programming, but I wonder where is it that people can sign up for that?
That's a rec program. So, I don't have the information right now because it's through recreation. It's a media education program through rec, but it's at J. Hood Wright, and it's that last week of April. So I don't know if you have a chance to share it out with CB12's newsletter, maybe.
Yeah, I'll probably I'll do that. I'll send that to
And then the
Catherine,
general
to
board
Lauren.
meeting
Yeah,
also.
cool, no
Okay.
problem.
Okay. Any other questions for parks? For programming? Okay. The next item on the agenda is a brief report of our activities by I'm sorry. I wanted to put it in. Kaya, I'm going to give you a couple of minutes in new business before Bennett Park, okay?
Okay, that sounds great. Thank you.
Thank you. The next item is a brief report of our activities by the Inwood Canoe Club by Laird Kelly. Hello, welcome.
Hello, should I stand or?
You can.
You can.
Speak to the owl,
Or
that's
you
all.
can sit here.
Right here, this thing, the owl.
Oh, to you?
That's the
Just-
owl,
yeah,
yeah. If you see the split screen, you see that? That's this little thing called the
Yeah,
owl.
speak towards
And
that.
very apropos because then it like an owl,
Yeah.
right?
Okay,
Technology, I love it.
very good.
Be careful, be careful.
Yeah, I see that.
Yeah, here, take this one.
Or you can sit there.
So you have up to 10 minutes.
Yeah,
And
I
that
need
includes
that.
questions.
Right, I won't need that. Thank you very much for giving us this time. I am a senior member of the Inwood Canoe Club. Julie McCoy is the Commodore who reported earlier about the Inwood Canoe Club's activities and public outreach. I am president. I am also
I got
president
it.
of
Yeah.
Uptown Paddling, the nonprofit affiliate of the Inwood Canoe Club. To give you the orientation that you asked about earlier, Inwood Canoe Club is based on the river. Its technical address is 360 Dykeman Street, but it is go to the far end of Dykeman Street at the marina, turn left down the pathway, and you'll find a rose-colored building that says Inwood Canoe Club, established 1902, which is when the club first started operating on a barge, actually, that was on the Harlem River at that time, but we've been in business continually since then. The Inwood Canoe Club has community outreach that Julie referenced in open house paddling for anyone in the community every Sunday morning, beginning Memorial Day through Labor Day, the Sunday of Labor Day weekend. And so that's an opportunity for free paddling. It's guided paddling. We don't just put people out on the water and tell them to come back in 15 minutes. We have well-trained people who accompany everyone who's on the water. Uptown Paddling, in contrast, holds events working with community organizations of young people. We really got into gear in this past year We worked with 10 different organizations. We held 15 events. Some examples, we took the Girl Scouts from Good Shepherd out for a father-daughter paddle on Father's Day. That was a lot of fun. We worked with Fresh Youth Initiative, with Brotherhood Sister Soul, BioBus, the Police Athletic League Navigators, and Wheels Academy from Washington Heights. So these are recreational paddles timed to get kids make the move from I'm scared of the water, I don't want to get in the boat, what am I doing here, to a real feeling of accomplishment, because 10 minutes later, with our guidance, they're masters of the universe. We go out on the Hudson River, either north or south, tell them about the park, the shoreline that we're passing. In warm-up activities, give them a little history of the river and the water and Boathouse Row as it used to be. So those are the paddling events. We're interested in recommendations for other youth organizations. That would mean people who would come with a youth leader. They would supply the kids and leadership, and we would supply the paddling and guidance. Paddling in this case, despite the name, the Inwood Canoe Club, it's all kayaking on our public programs. The other type of activity that we have is what we call paddle camp. We may be changing it to paddle posse later this year.
I like that.
And this is working with the same group of kids 3 or 4 Saturday mornings in a row. So we have certified instructors that come out and work with the kids with the curriculum. They're really coaches trying to teach kids how to treat kayaking as a sport. And so that we did that once last year. We're doing it a couple of times this year. We hope to also get the kids off on a road trip to go up to Lake Sebago and Harriman Park and show off their stuff there. That's tentative. We don't know if we'll be able to pull that off or not. All of our events are free to the organizations. We're funded by grants, including a multi-year grant from discretionary funds from Carmen de la Rosa and other some Inwood-based charitable grantors and one nice one from a little further downtown. So that's the essence of it. As I say, we're interested in identification of additional youth partnerships that we could be involved with, like the sailing partnership next door, and like the Inwood Canoe Club. We're anxious to figure out a solution to where we can operate in that time that the shoreline is going to be renovated. And likely, almost certainly, to shut us down for most of the year, most of the season. Julie is working with Jana on that and other people that would welcome any other ideas that people have.
Can I have your email, because I can send you some?
Sure. The best email for us, for our organization, is uptownpaddling@gmail.com. And people can see more about our programming at our website, uptownpaddling.org.
Okay, because I will tell you, I got a weird call this week at my own job. So if anybody's familiar with Children's Village, it started out in Dobbs Ferry. You know, they're building a new community center up here.
Mhm.
Like I think I had 200, like 217. I just found this out. So I know I'm supposed to be going on a site visit at some point this month to find out what they're doing, but so what they have, they do a ton of things. So they have not only daycare, but it's after school programs. They also have group homes, and they also have like a senior day center.
Mhm.
So apparently they're opening up this big new building up in Inwood. I only found out because I got a call out of the blue. So once I get more information, I will
Which
definitely
one, the
pass
one on
that
Ninth
on.
Avenue?
What?
The one on Ninth Avenue?
Which, she said it was like on two something, I don't have my notes in front of me.
Probably, yeah.
Because they're just building it, yeah.
I know, I think I know what you're talking about.
So, once I find out more, I will definitely pass that on, because I was intrigued myself, so.
Great.
And Laird, you have my email, yes?
Yes.
So email me, because I can introduce you to Domingo Esteves, who is the chair for youth. And one of the things that I always look at as somebody that was born, raised, and still living in this community is access to these programs for youth that wouldn't have the resources to actually engage in these kinds of activities. So I can definitely connect you to Domingo Esteves. And you can also speak at his meeting because he is the chair for youth and education.
Okay.
And that's a good resource.
Good.
Even though it was on a Monday, it's the second Mondays of every month.
Okay.
So I'll do an introduction also online.
Okay.
And just more of a clarifying question, and then I think Barbara had her hand raised as I'm looking to unmute again. It's for children, what is the youngest age of the child that can go out on the water?
Generally speaking, 8 is the target. We have, like in the scouting program when it was father-daughter, if the parent was in the boat with the child, we could do it a little younger, but
8 is your official cutoff.
8's the official cutoff.
Is it age or height?
No, height isn't such an issue, and in fact, this year, partially because of the grant from Carmen, we acquired a bunch of small, high quality, but small kid-sized boats. So we're looking for small people.
Thank you. Barbara, you have a question? Unmute, please.
I got it.
You got it. Hold on, Barbara.
Oh, no, she.
Yeah, it doesn't let you do it from over there.
Yeah.
Oh, girl.
You have to swipe right or something like that.
Touch.
So,
You have to do it on your end, because I think you pressed something.
Barbara, on your phone, swipe right on the Zoom on your phone, and then there should be a button that says tap to speak.
No, we can't hear you, Barbara.
How's that?
There you
Did that
go.
unmute? Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you. Okay, we have a new system. Okay. All right. Now, number one, apropos the Children's Village, a little bit of confusion. I don't know about this community center, but the Eliza, which is opening for the new library, that building, that is partnered with Children's Village, and youth who are aging out of foster care, who are residents of Children's Village, will be given apartments there. So it will be transitional for children out of youth who are graduating out of Children's Village. So I assume that then this community center is to be a further support and a multi-generational helpful transition. So Alexis, if that kind of helps give you a sense, or maybe ask in your tour or your whatever, what about the Eliza and what's the connection? Okay. Number two, you say that your instructors are certified. I know a few years ago, there was a whole, how can we be certified? We don't know. What entity, what organization is certifying your kayak instructors, and what levels and such does this certification take place? As a parent, anyone wants to know who's training my kid.
That's a good question.
Sure. The American Canoe Association is
The what?
The American Canoe Association.
Okay.
Is the organization that does most of the licensure that's used here, and the licensing that people participate, or that people in our club participate in. The instructors are level 2 instructors under the ACA program. Every one of the members of the club that go out on the water with the kids are trained in self-rescue, in rescuing other people. They carry safety equipment, including extra paddles, rescue gear. Everybody is connected by radio with the dock, and most importantly, and the most often used safety equipment is tow ropes. Kids
Okay.
get out at the end of the line and they turn around and need to come back against the current, and they sometimes need help.
Now, are the children that you're working with, are they always accompanied by a parent or chaperone?
These are kids who are part of organized groups, school groups or scouting groups or outdoor exploring groups. And they come with their group leaders. They have trip permission slips that are signed by the parents.
Okay.
We have waivers that are signed by the parents.
So there are a lot of internal controls in place for the
Yes.
safety of the children.
Yes.
Okay. All right. So your instructors have not necessarily taken child abuse prevention workshops.
They have taken a safe paddling program that is oriented toward protection of any guest or paddler, adult or child.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Jana has a question?
Yeah. Hi, Laird. I just was thinking about some resources in terms of the young folks you're looking for. You might want to reach out to the YWCHA. Did I have those letters right? I always get it wrong. Also the NYPL at 160th reaches a lot of young people. So those were just two notes I wanted to make.
Okay.
And yeah, and also, cloth. I don't know how young the audience cloth serves off the top of my head, but they might be a good connection as well.
Yeah, because they have a school they run too.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sorry, tell me that name.
Cloth.
Community League of the Heights. And so
Okay.
they do run a high school, and they also do summer programs for youth. Like I know they have, because their main office is near where I live. So
Okay.
they do like the open streets, safe streets, things like that.
Right. Okay, I do recognize it. I just didn't
Yeah.
buy the acronym. Good.
Thank you. Any
Thank
other
you.
questions for Laird? Thank you so much for that, Laird. Thank
Sure.
you.
Sure.
Any other questions? I don't see questions in the chat. The next item on the agenda is Ben. I'm sorry, Ben, if I'm butchering your last name, but is it Kanim? Let me see. Hold on. I'm going to unmute you right now. Let's see. Okay. Okay, Ben, you are Kohanim. Okay, there you go.
Yeah, Kohanim.
Kohanim, yes. Yes, we can. Welcome.
Thank you. Am I able to, I want to go to my, to talk about Dykeman Fields. I want to talk in the area that I'm talking about, the courts in there. Am I able to, I have a folder in my Google Drive that I want to present just to show some pictures, and there's also a video that I have there. Am I able
Okay.
to?
I enabled share, so you can go ahead and share your screen.
Okay. Where do I can, you can see my screen now?
No.
Doesn't he have to make his share screen running?
What's that?
You made him a presenter, right?
Try turning on your video first and then screen share.
Okay, hold on. Hold on. I think I have to promote to panelist. Hold on. Okay.
Yeah.
All right, Ben, you have been promoted to panelist, so you should be able.
There we go. We see Zoom.
Okay, we see Zoom.
Right.
Okay. Hello.
Hello, Ben.
Okay, now I see.
10 minutes, and that has to include questions from the audience.
Okay, so I'll get right to it. Share screen, Dykeman Fields. Here is my Dykeman Fields. There's a court area in Dykeman Fields, which is right in Inwood Hill Park. Right when you go past you take that when you go right where that canoeing is, you take a right. There's those the soccer fields. There's the baseball fields. Just to point out kind of where we are. Here, this is one screenshot. If everyone can see this, this is that's the area that I'm focused on. It's about it was originally made as I believe as a hockey rink. an outdoor hockey rink, and there's really not much use to it now. Just to give a little bit more of a sense of the area. This is a parks. There's it's a renovation project on the soccer fields that's right next to the area that I'm focused on. This is two soccer fields. If you notice at the very, very corner on the left, you can see kind of, it says existing hockey rink. That's kind of the area that I'm referring to. And you can see kind of, this is a project that I believe the construction hasn't started yet. I believe it's still in the procurement phase or something. But I'll show a few more pictures of this area. Again, it's about 17,000 square feet. A year ago, this was it was in the participatory budgeting. That was an idea that was voted on along with other ideas. It didn't win, but we got about 400, a little more than 400 votes to get funding to do this area. The current uses of this, everyone can see my screen, obviously, right?
Yes, but
Right.
before you continue, Jerry, I'm trying to find out, what is it that you want? I'm very confused. You're talking about a hockey rink, or is it the soccer fields?
No, he's
Right.
talking about.
No. The soccer field is next to it. That's always been there. That's being reconstructed.
Yeah.
It was originally made as a hockey rink. There's a few uses now that it's for. One use, they're all kind of unofficial, sort of. It's used as Bike NYC does use this in the summer on certain days, and they just kind of it's used as a beginners kind of area beginners course area to learn how to bike. That's Bike NYC. They have like you can see in this photo, they keep their equipment in the green trailer. I have a better picture of it in a different photo. But it's about a 17,000 square foot area. And what the idea of what I would like to do, and I've spoken about this with Jenna and Carmen. This is an idea that was in participatory budgeting a year ago, is to redo the pavement and to make it into a multi-purpose court for volleyball. There's people who play volleyball here in the summers during the week. There's also a small pickleball community that would love to make use of this court. It's a large court. It's about 17,000 square feet. Let me just go through some of the pictures here. It's a beautiful area. That's right by the water. It does, it would need, besides the repaving, it would need there's probably a good amount of pruning work and other, it's probably other work that needs to be done. But on the face of it, it's a very nice. It has these like kind of beautiful, cubbies that people can use as dugouts areas with benches. There's a good amount of infrastructure already there. It just kind of needs a good, some work to make it kind of reactivated again. These are the trailers that I was referring to that Bike NYC uses. I guess they store bikes and other equipment in there. This is one of their locations. This was so right here. This is kind of an aerial shot of the Dyckman fields, of the Dyckman court. And I had a friend of mine, Catherine Hedden, who came with us on a walking tour with Jenna, and she kind of made this. I asked her to make this for me. It's kind of like an idea of what it could look like with 4 different pickleball courts. You can see in the right on the bottom left, that's an actual with the measurements, and you could probably fit about 4 courts in there, and also easily put. I didn't add it on, but you can easily put another full volleyball court as well in this space.
He started at like.
Then 5 minutes left.
Okay, so I think these are just some of the pictures. This is just I put an idea. If we were to make this kind of area, we could put some bike. I don't know what these are called. These are kind of like these bike rinks, so you can lock a bike or something else. I think this would be a nice addition as well to be put in this area, like outside the court, so people can park their bikes there. I think pretty much this is a video that I didn't make this video, but someone else did. And in the meantime, people have questions while I can play this video. I'm happy to, if anyone wants to make any comments or, I'm hoping I'm presenting this because I would love if Carmen and her office would consider giving some money to at least start off this project. A year ago, again, the participant budgeting put a $550,000 price tag to kind of redo this court to make it a multi-purpose court. So that's kind of like the amount that would be needed to kind of redo this area. It's a really nice space.
We have Jenna and then Kaya.
Hi, Ben.
Hello.
I just want to do a shout out to Ben and also make a few notes. We're really grateful for Ben's advocacy for all of our parks. He's a great eyes and ears on the ground. Two, it was wonderful to be at this site and think about the multipurpose. It is a really unique site, Chair, in Manhattan. It's just really beautiful. And I just want to note that I have learned from living here and also now being in my position with parks that this site is used frequently for a wide variety of events, from roller skating to boxing to soccer, to pickleball, to workouts in general. So, and also biking. So I just want to make a note here that this is something we would certainly want to put through community input and really gather a wide variety of feedback about.
100%.
Thank you for that, Jenna. I am partial to roller skating. I've been a roller skater since the 80s, and I would love to see roller skating. Kaya?
Hi, everyone. Hi, Ben. Thank you so much for that presentation. Dykeman Fields is within what Friends of Inwood Hill Parks considers our home turf. So we would love to have further discussion with you on what input you've already gotten from other community members, the different changes you would like to make, how we can make that a very collaborative process, if we could get potentially some events being held there and other organizations that are in the area. Inwood Canoe Club is going to be right down the street, so they might be interested in having some comments on that. So I think this sounds great. It is a very interesting space. It could definitely use a facelift at the very, very minimum for that concrete. And yeah, it sounds good. I hope we can connect sometime. I'll see you.
I want just one other point I forgot to make. I think it was a week ago. I think on Wednesday that it was raining very hard. The next day I went there, I took some photos. The one also positive note about this is just, there doesn't seem to be a big, I thought I was going to see like these massive puddles in this area. At least the drainage seems to be pretty good in this court area. So that's a good thing. You can see from this picture here that it certainly needs a facelift, especially if you want to make it into a multi-purpose court. It would need to be, redone. But the infrastructure in itself, as it is right now, is somewhat decent.
My only concern about this is if you're going to have the different sports that can be played on the same one, is there going to be anything that volleyball, for example, that would be pretty rough if anyone wanted to dive right onto asphalt. So would it be possible to make part of it into a different surface, or is it's just going to be one across the board?
People play volleyball in there now.
Yeah.
They put a net and they're not looking for it to be sand. But the idea is just to make it like an asphalt that you can have as many sports as you can as possible in this court. And volleyball, pickleball, in area. I was thinking when I've seen Bike NYC use it, this is just what I've seen. They kind of just go around in a circle. So my thought would be to make a circle around the park. But of course, as Jana said, there needs to be input from everyone in the community as to what the ideas of what they can use, how this space can be used in the most optimal way for everyone.
This is probably more of a question for Jana, but I do hope that this would be, if we were going to have this repaved and kind of spruced up a little bit, that this would be an opportunity for some, let's say, climate conscious infrastructure. So more porous asphalt, potentially some kind of rain garden-esque plantings. I know that's something coming up.
You're getting into community input.
Ooh, community
and
input.
I think that's a good note. But yes, that would all go through our community input to see what options should be looked at for sure.
Danny has a question.
I think that presentation is super cool. Me personally, I would love to to continue seeing that space as a multi-purpose spot and like have it as like just brand, like probably like team up with like DOT or something like that and like get some kind of like asphalt that's just like up to date. And I wonder if they can make that like what, like into like a capital project or something like that, where all the
What?
all
I'm
the-
sorry, I can't hear.
where they could make I don't know, like a capital project to like revamp all that like net the fences, because those fences has been there for a long time. Like I was a kid and I remember I used to go out over there.
Yeah.
So that would be super cool just to kind of like have everything paved out, because once people start like putting in ideas of like, oh, like let's put this net or that let's put that net, it then takes away from the fact that it was just like a empty pavement where like people could go in and like roller skate and like they don't have to worry about a
Multi-purpose,
Yeah, like people could, that'd be cool. They could just like promote like people bringing chalk, just like doing their own thing,
right?
Wherever the hell they
So,
want, you know.
so I think, yeah, Danny, thank you. This is, and then I also have to apologize to you, Ben, because you've been trying to get on this meeting for like, first you couldn't make it, and then there was a whole technological fiasco. So happy to have you. So
Yes.
I think that the next step is now, are we listening now that we've heard a couple of suggestions and ideas that this is going to go through community input first?
Well, to your point, Chair, I think that CB12 could be really helpful here and working with us at Parks and with Ben and other advocates for the space. And we can talk with Commissioner Shimamura about that too. And she has deep expertise here. So yes, I think that this would be a chance for, I don't know, Ben, if you're thinking about participatory budgeting again, but this would be a chance to maybe have a community conversation and visioning day at the site and think about what's needed. And I think there may be opportunity to do some short-term things before capital renovation, but we would be able to suss that out.
Okay, so now we've taken the first, thank you, Ben.
I'd like to make a comment.
Barbara. Yes.
Yeah, now I'm finally getting the little things to do it. I'm very familiar with that space. In the middle 1980s, I founded the first youth soccer group at that Dyckman Fields, an ASO, American Youth Soccer Organization League. And that was actually when that field was first built. One thing I think is we have to, when you talk community input, we have to contact the schools, the public schools, the charter schools, the parochial schools, because one thing that had been used for was field hockey. And the PE teachers had been able to then have a field hockey program in a couple of the schools for a while. And too often our sports programs in the schools fade away for a lack of space to be able to do them. And while the space has been taken over by, which is good, by essentially court games, there are many games that youth play that we would like them to play that are not court games. So I would like that to look at that. Also, it's a very popular rollerblading place. And the kids like to get out there and rollerblade and learn how to practice to rollerblade. And so I would certainly not want because once something becomes a court, it becomes a permitted space. And then it is scheduled. And also then something that's like a league gets a priority, especially like a children's league first, then another league. And then suddenly, well, you can't come on here now because such and such league or such and such group has the control of the space. And I think we really have to be very careful about, in this process, all of a sudden and not becoming, in a certain sense, not exactly privatized, but tightly scheduled and controlled by certain groups. And that's what happens when it becomes a court space, because then that requires a permit to use it. Just my 2 cents. Keep that in mind, fellow board members, fellow committee members.
Thank you. I want to be mindful of the time. Danny has another question, and Jana, and then we're going to close it there because,
I've been having mine.
I'm so sorry. I didn't see you.
Not even a question.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Danny, Jana, and then Alexis. Okay, and then we want to move it along because we want to be mindful of the time, because we still have the concerns for regarding Bennett Park, and I want to dedicate some time to that. Or
Yeah.
we want to dedicate some time to that as well. Danny?
It's not even a question, it's a comment, and is also for Jana as well too. And I wonder if like Parks has like other like portfolio pieces of like places that they have open spaces just like that, where we can kind of like mimic that park to look like that park. Like let's say the park down on Houston.
Right.
That is literally just an open asphalt. That's all it is, you know, and I'm pretty sure if we can keep it with that integrity of like, oh, like we have a park that looks just like that, like let's just do that here.
Well,
But
you
then
know,
it takes, bye-bye.
That's such a great point, Danny, because I was actually going to raise two things. One, Highbridge Court, we're getting inquiries about the same thing at Highbridge Court, which is another big wide open space like this that is used for a multitude of things. And two, thank you, Danny, because yes, we can do our research on some spaces like that. Three, to Barbara's point, I had initially raised my hand, wanted to just share that, you know, recreation would have to be a part of this. And, you know, like the basketball courts or tennis courts, there's permitting, but there's also free play as well. So just a note that, you know, recreation would have to come into this too.
Thank you. Alexis?
I just wanted to say, of course, I'm all for this, but I would like to see you come back with, I'm just gonna be blunt, a more organized presentation. And to get better feedback so that it's more understandable. I felt like this was a little all over the place, and I'd like to see you come back with a more organized presentation so that we can be as helpful as we possibly can in hopefully bringing this into capital expense. Because, and correct me if I'm wrong, you probably didn't get into participatory budgeting because it wasn't at $1 million.
No, it wasn't participatory budgeting.
No, I'm saying it was. She did give that to you, even though it was, oh, but you got that? All right, because usually it's about for $1 million. This is what they did this year.
It was
And
last. It was a year ago that it was in. It didn't win. Obviously, it was one of the projects that was voted on. It was a $550,000. They put a $550,000 cost on it.
So yeah, and then it would be, and then once we
And
have
it was put as a
yeah,
multi-use court. That was the idea. Was that it would be a multi-use court.
once we have it here, then when you get the votes and you get people into it, then you can take it to the general meeting and have people come to the general meeting and support your idea. These are steps that I think are really good to take because it's a fabulous idea. It is needed, but we want to make sure that you're doing this in the best way possible.
If I answer that again.
Okay, I hear your point. I hear what you're saying. I would love to get more community input to you know.
What's his email?
Sorry, I'm trying to just get more. You know, I would love to get more community input to see what people from the community would want for this space. Absolutely, I just wanted to kind of highlight this area, and that's why I just I put different pictures of the court area to see so people can just get a sense of what the space that I'm actually referring to. I think a lot of people, as much as it's used already, or there's a lot of people in the community who I think don't even know about, or they just they just pass by it and know very little about this space at all.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Ben, can you stop sharing your screen, please?
Yes, sure.
So after those two comments, with no further ado, we're going to get into the community concerns regarding Bennett Park. There is a petition, Commissioner Parks, there is a petition here, but I think it would serve purposefully to sort of like have some community norms where I think we can lead with updates from both parks. And if the commissioner has updates or sort of like context, or my understanding is that this started back in 2020. I wasn't even part of the community board. So let's do that. And then let's take questions from the public in an organized way. Tracy.
Just two things. It looks like Ben is still sharing a screen, and if he could let go of the screen so we can have the big view of everyone that's on.
Yes. Yes.
Downgrade him from there.
Yeah, that's what I'll do. Yeah. And then, hold on, I'll do that.
So we can know old business, correct?
New business.
New business.
I don't know why this is not moving. Oh, I got it. I got it. Okay, no, that's it. He was You can't see it?
Okay.
Is that your screen, bro? That's your screen?
Yeah,
Wow, it's good.
I don't see him here. Okay, thank you. Thank you.
Why don't you just tell me when I can start talking to everybody?
You start, Commissioner.
Okay, great. Hi, everybody. I know a lot of you, or have seen a lot of you because of my kind of previous kind of roles working in city government, but I was doing the math, this is my 10th day in kind of formally working in my new role here. So officially coming to you live from now double digits, working in this new office and this new role. I wanted to first say hi. I'm Tricia Shimamura, and many of you, if you are serving on a community board, probably know who, at least who my former boss was, Mark Levine, who I worked for. Before that, I was working still in like the nonprofit sector, but I was basically where Luana was sitting. I served as a parks chair of my community board for several years, and loved every minute of it. Even though there's a lot of late nights, and I appreciate everybody sticking out for just to talk about this topic, but really just to serve on your community board. I don't really want to take up too much time. I know everybody's, it's already been a late night, and I understand that especially folks with kids need to get home. And so I'm just going to tell you very briefly that that it's just my 10th day here, but I am here, and I'm kind of quickly trying to wrap my brain around a million different issues. But just so you're aware of a little bit of who I am, I'm a mom. I have two small kids, a 1-year-old and a 4-year-old, who think that they're 16 and 17, respectively. I'm a social worker, and I'm really here just trying to be a good connection and a good partner to all of you any way that I can. So I'm looking forward to a long relationship working with this community board and this community. I'm looking forward to really partnering with you and seeing you out in our parks very, very, very soon. And when it comes to Bennett, which is arguably a very tough issue, I just want to say that, you know, I asked a number of members of my team to be here tonight, not just Jana, but also Luana, if you couldn't possibly promote Vincent Cerrito from our capital team, just to try to give you some more information and just better informed, and who can speak the language a little bit more eloquently than I can. Here's a little bit of the background, as it's from my 10-day perspective here. I believe that for several decades, the Parks Department has been trying to get something to grow on this patch of land in Bennett Park. I've heard from folks as back as the 1980s have been trying to get something to grow there. I believe that we've tried to reseed and resod this piece of land at least 4 or 5 different times. Thanks to funding from then council member Udonis Rodriguez, and then Borough President Gail Brewer, back in, I think, 2020, end of 2020, start of 2021, there was finally some funds to get moving on something. And the Parks Department worked with this community board to figure out an alternative solution. We did a regular scoping meeting or community scoping session, which is normally what happens with parks projects. And from that, as well as I believe Parks told me that since this was in the pandemic period, there was an opportunity for folks to give additional feedback through like an online portal. Which was actually so successful that ever since then, we have continuously had that kind of portal model, so that you don't have to stay at one meeting or be at one meeting in order to give feedback to a project. There's like a longer length of time that you can submit your testimony and submit input from it. And from all of that, this community board passed a resolution in 2021 ask in support of these changes, and in support of specifically a nylon tufted turf. Now, then move forward from 2021 now to 2024. Thankfully, we're kind of past COVID and things are catching back up now. And on March 25th, which happened to be about 48 hours before I actually stepped foot in this office, but on March 25th, construction started. And I realized that for a lot of folks that they didn't really know enough and know a lot about this project. And and so on kind of the first day I was able to be here, Jana, who's been a really, really fierce advocate for this community and is just a really kind of lucky to have somebody who lives in the neighborhood, not only just works there, but lives there, kind of flagged and said to me that, again, said to me and my team that this is something that we're hearing a lot of concerns about. And I certainly have seen the petition and have tried to talk to a couple neighbors about this. At the time, I really didn't have a lot of information to say. And frankly, I still just 10 days in am really new. And like I said, not very articulate about a lot of the materials, which is why I asked our capital team, and I'm very grateful for them to be here also to try to give you guys a little bit more information about kind of the specifics of the turf. I will just tell you that ultimately, we may not have all the answers. And if I don't, then I do promise you that I will do everything I can to try to get you as clear information as possible. I'm still learning my feet here, but I can tell you that truly we're trying to do right by this community. We're trying to do right for the future of this community. And as a parent, I do understand and appreciate everybody's really very real concerns about what materials and what kind of spaces we're creating for you. So I'll just leave it at that. And I'm happy to hear from neighbors, happy to answer questions. Oh, I had a couple of things. If you don't mind, Luana, I just wanted to say there's a really lovely person who wrote in the chat about a Girl Scout troop that had a concern about a tree in Payson Playground. While I was listening into this meeting, I already reached out and sent an email out to our team to figure out when this tree is going to get picked up. It should be this week. And if not, we need to get it. We absolutely need to get it done. So I totally hear that. That's crazy. Jana, please. Jana put her contact information in. Jana's much better about her email. I'm still trying to figure out mine. So Jana, please follow up with Jana, but let's get that tree picked up. And then if you can also follow up on meeting with them, if there's a way that we can adopt this park and do things with it, I would love to see that. Absolutely. Thanks, Ben, for the presentation on skate park. More to come, but you're doing all the right things here. It's about the money and it's about getting as many people to advocate for this funding. And I'm happy to try to talk that through too with you a little bit more. And then I think, Jana, the one thing that we maybe forgot to mention was that there is going to be a movie showing on May 5th in the Heights, May 3rd, sorry. I was thinking that, but May 3rd in the Heights. And that should be in Highbridge. Jay had right. I'm sorry. I promise I'll get better at this. But that's going to be in Jay Hood, right? And certainly I'm going to try to come out too to be there too. So I hope that you'll join us and hopefully we'll have good weather here. I've taken up enough time, so I'll give it back to you, Luana.
So before we get to the concerns of the public, and also I have some comments pouring into the chat. Can we have sort of you already provided sort of like a timeline, but there's a question about the details of the ingredients of the tufted nylon being installed at Bennett Park. Mm-hmm. And then after that question gets answered, I'm going to answer it in the order that I'm getting them for the people that are online. And then if anybody present wants to get on a speakers list, what we don't want to do is get into a back and forth because that monopolizes the time. And we want to give people the opportunity everybody to raise concerns. So the first question that came at the top of the meeting is, have you been provided details of the ingredients of the tufted nylon? Or if before that, do we need further context, like a historical context of the process by which this came into fruition? And then we'll start taking more concerns from the public. Because I promoted Vincent.
Yeah, Vinny, if you could possibly, I think that's probably good just to give as much of, Vinny's from our capital team and has been with this project for a lot longer than I've been here. And I appreciate him being here tonight. So Vinny, maybe you can just go into a little bit more detail. That would be great.
So sorry, Commissioner. Yes?
Sorry, we've been waiting to speak this whole time.
Right.
Can we maybe go before the comments in the chat? say the things that we want to check?
Sure. Well, okay, so yes, we'll do that, but also people have been also waiting online as well
Yeah.
to speak. So, yeah.
So far, everybody in person spoke and then people on the chat spoke.
What's that?
This is a different order than the rest of the rest of the meeting, that's all.
Yeah.
It's
We've allowed everybody in person.
I think it was when Trisha was having her part,
Right.
it just overextended. Just give her like 1 or 2 minutes and then you guys can speak.
Right,
Is that
because
okay?
there's a question about the materials that you probably have.
Yeah.
Right. Also, you have a presentation.
No, well, there's a few of us who want to speak and that's part of our, of course, part of our.
The faster we can get this out, the faster we can listen to you. Yeah, the faster we
Right,
can get
but
this out, the
this
faster we can
particular, there's
listen to you.
also people online that have been logged on since the beginning of, so the question is, who gets to go first? You know, that's, yeah. So, yeah. So if you can just answer this question quickly about the tufted nylon, that'll be great, because that is the only question that we have so far, and then we have anecdotes, and then you can go next.
Sure. Good evening, everybody. I'm Vincent Cerrito. I'm the Assistant Commissioner of our Landscape Architecture Program at the Capital Division at Parks. So thank you for having us here tonight. So I just want to go back in time just a little bit again just talk about how we choose materials at the Parks Department and specifically in synthetic turf. So we have a robust specifications department that does look at all of our materials. They're constantly updating our specifications to match what the industry standard is doing, where it's going. I'll go far as back as 2008. There was concerns of infill, synthetic turf infill. If everyone remembers that rubber crumb that used to be put in on infilled material or infilled fields throughout the city. We stopped doing that in 2008 before even people were doing that across the country, even in New York State or even our suburban areas around the city. So we are always at the head front of getting ahead. What's safe for our kids, what's safe for our adults that are playing our fields. How do we make this? Because synthetic turf is really important to the health and well-being of city folks, because it does allow our turf to be used heavily. We are, as I think, listening to some of the discussions in Inwood Hill Park about that multi-use field. We get a lot of folks that want to get out and use our fields. So we're always looking at how can we do that. Synthetic turf is one of those ways that we can get multiple people out on a field right after it rains, when it's raining. If we use natural turf in certain fields, sometimes you need to close those fields for days to let it dry out, so you actually keep that grass growing. So synthetic turf is something in our toolbox that we use when we work closely with the community in doing that. And we also, obviously, we're working with our partners at EPA, what we call the American Society for Testing Materials. It's ASTM. This is a little technical, but those are the experts in chemicals that are used in products and those types of things. So we do rely on the outside organizations for our specifications to be made off, that our specifications rely on when we're actually speccing a certain material used in the park. So again, here we're using a tufted nylon lawn, a grass area. It does not have any infill. There's no infill in this material. It is just a carpet, what we call a carpet style synthetic turf. So it is kind of like it is made of plastic, and it has a robust drainage system underneath it. That's so that when it rains, water flows through that grass, synthetic turf into the stone and then into my drainage system.
Okay, I don't have any more questions. I mean, yes. So, yeah, yes.
Can you repeat the name of the organization you used to check the materials? What was it called again?
The organization named for use of materials.
Yes,
To check, yes.
The American Society for Testing Materials. It's an acronym of ASTM.
So they test the materials before you use them and check to see what, like, for example, if there's PFASs in them?
Correct. So when we put out a contract that a contractor uses to build a park for us, we ask them for submittals. So here for the synthetic turf, we get a submittal, and more or less our specifications require certain testing to be done. So we look at, lead, there's lead in there, is chromium in there, there's certain other chemicals that we are concerned about that we want to make sure that they meet all the requirements of that ASTM and also EPA and those standards. So we get submittals back, and it's the actual manufacturer of that material that we look at it. Does it meet our specifications? Is that what we want here? And then we approve it for use.
So you get it from the manufacturer.
Correct. From the manufacturer through our contractor, and then when we approve those submittals.
And I'm sorry, when you guys speak, you can just tell me your name so I could have it on record? That would be great.
Sure, my name is Margaret Farmer.
Thank you, Margaret.
Do you want everyone's? Oh, sure. Okay, so I'll begin. I live right down the street from Bennett Park, and I'm here with some other people who have been organizing this campaign to no synthetic turf, against synthetic turf in Bennett Park. We all would like to say a few things. Who have left here, there was more of us here, but those with kids had to go home. So it is my understanding and belief that this community board, neither the entire board or this committee ever held its own scoping meeting about the Bennett Park project. Parks held a meeting in the highest height of COVID, one meeting. And I've so far been unable to get the minutes or video of that meeting, but I've heard that there wasn't real opportunity for the public to speak there. So there was effectively never a real opportunity for the Bennett Park community to give their community input or have these concerns that we're talking about today addressed. So continually, as we brought them up, it's always been repeated that we heard them before, we dealt with this before, we talked about this before, but that's not the truth. They were not addressed before. And we'd like them to be addressed now, which is why we're here. So from that point forward, each time when we did try to share our concerns, we were told that we're too late, we missed the meeting, it's already decided, but there was never a real opportunity. There was never a proper invitation. What type of invitations were going out about this meeting in the height of COVID when our hospitals were overflowing, that this meeting was even happening. So there was not a community board meeting where the community was really invited. And our community has so many amazing ideas for this park that were never even asked for or listened to. The community of Bennett right now is primarily just shocked that any construction is going on at all. And they're suggesting to me and to us all the ideas that they would have given to you. In that same vein, we were never informed and really still haven't been on the chemical makeup in the turf to be installed. Even when these chemicals, as alleged by the turf company, are confirmed, have we really done anything to verify those claims? Have we taken, we've never seen this information. It was never put out there. It was never published. All of a sudden there's construction and there's a sign on the front with a little outline of what's happening. But where is this ASTM report? Where is Parks getting the turf and really seeing what's in there? So saying we've already talked about this, it's not an acceptable answer to our serious health and safety and environmental concerns. Did want to hold up my little sign there that says, please don't test your chemicals on my toddler. I have a toddler. I feel like it's already kind of been admitted.
How old is your kid?
Sorry?
How old is your kid?
He's almost 3.
3.
And there was a period where we went to Bennett Park every day, twice a day with my child. It is our backyard. It is our home. It's the public natural space that we have. It's really our backyard. So I'm asking today that, before this turf is installed, these chemical concerns of things that can cause cancer and other illnesses, there needs to be a real an environmental study, and any alternatives need to be heard and considered. And knowing that PFAS are there, this is a real liability for the city. There's a lot of talk about PFAS and their harms right now, and I don't think this is something the city should just be putting down when we know these harms exist. Thank you. To the next person.
Hi, I'm Ann Asher. I live on Bennett Park on 183rd.
I'm sorry, Ann, you said?
Huh?
What did you say your first name was?
M-E-M.
Oh, E-M, sorry.
I am a parent also of a toddler. I also have a dog. Also use that park every single day for the last 10 years.
How old is your kid?
I'm not gonna share about my kids.
No, I heard toddler.
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't know. I wanna know like
Um,
the age range of people that's like going, that's all, you know?
so thank you for the opportunity to speak. And I really appreciate being able to speak in the context of like all the Earth Day organizing that's going on and all the concerns about community engagement. We have talked to over about 400 people who live directly on Bennett Park, and not a single person could tell us anything about the project. Not what the turf was made of, not when any of the meetings were announced. Our letter has over about probably 350 signatures of people attesting the fact that they have no idea about this. I myself have lived here for a decade. I have plenty of friends and neighbors who've lived here for way longer than that. I also would like to point out that the city's educational resource on synthetic turf is out of date. It's based on medical claims made prior to August 2012. And it links to an internal report, I think Vincent referenced this, from May 2008. And I understand the idea that it's a boon, it's a good thing that the city stopped using rubber infill, but to me, the fact that you're using it all without having tested it gives me lots of concern. And the internal report from May 2008 is the evidence that the city cites of the purported safety of synthetic turf. We have many scientists and doctors in our community. We're in the vicinity of Mount Sinai and Columbia. There have been numerous studies on the safety profile of synthetic turf in the last 16 years. There are no references in the city's educational information or references to consultations, research, tests done by scientists or doctors with real expertise in this area. I also would like to point out in relation to Vincent's comments that the city's talking points on synthetic turf, and this includes tufted nylon, specifically reflect the corporate interests and the marketing language of corporate lobbyists. The Parks Department has explicitly stated to journalist Samantha Maldonado that PFASs are in synthetic turf, that nylon turf contains PFASs, and scientists and doctors have stated there is no amount of PFASs that have been deemed medically or environmentally safe by scientists or doctors anywhere. Synthetic turf that is marketed as PFAS-free has been shown to contain PFASs. And as Vincent stated, the ASTM submittal comes from the manufacturer, which is great concern to me personally, and hopefully communally as well. You're asking us to trust the companies you work with, companies that have no economic incentive or legal mandate to release the formulas for their materials. And all synthetic turf contains infills, additives, synthesizers. I've been educated in synthetic turf by numerous scientists and doctors in the last weeks, and this all is of great concern. Scientists and policy advisors Rachel Massey and Lindsay Pollard have written that no comprehensive regulatory or testing regime for artificial turf materials has been developed in the United States. So I just want to mark that in the meeting notes in relation to.
Say that again, please, ma'am. So, yeah, what you were doing in the first place.
This is the line.
So
We only have one.
I want to repeat Maggie's point that it's a liability to be effectively experimenting on a community whose interests you are here to represent. And I would say I can say I'll stop so my friends and neighbors and members can speak, but the meeting notes from 2020 and 2021 reflect not a single reference to the toxicity of the materials being used, to their adverse health and environmental impacts. Microplastic carpets shed up to 8% of their surface annually, and that leaches directly into the soil, the air, and the water. PFASs in synthetic turf, including nylon, tufted nylon, have been linked to cancer, preterm birth, fertility issues, thyroid and liver disease. Synthetic turf increases the likelihood of injuries, broken bones, and staph infection. And lastly, in relation to Commissioner Shimomura's comment that it's been decades of trying to grow grass, we had grass in our dirt patch from 2000 to 2008, which is roughly the timeline of synthetic turf. Synthetic turf needs to be replaced every 5 to 10 years. And there's no protocol stated by the Parks Department or in the United States broadly legally that addresses how these materials, which cannot be recycled, how we are to dispose of them. So I personally would love to know what's happening to this turf when it breaks down. We have fields of turf that are in great disrepair in our neighborhood, and they just sit there leaching forever chemicals into our environment. And this isn't to say anything about the wildlife, for Green Nature Woods, we have hawks, we have eagles, we have falcons, we have dogs and children, truly lots of beings use our park. And it's small and it's not of great interest, probably beyond our neighborhood. And I will pause there, thank you.
And everything flows down into the Hudson River right off our hill. So we're affecting like the entire river that we've been trying to clean up for decades.
Thank you. I believe Vincent had his hand up, but maybe he wants to address these two concerns first, or if there's somebody else that still wants to continue with the concerns, like how should we do this?
Luana, if you don't, Vinny, I'm so sorry, but I just
Go ahead.
Of other people who
I have comments that I want to read on the chat.
If you don't mind, Vinny, I'd rather hear
No,
more
that's
from the public.
perfectly fine. I just wanted to clarify one thing, actually. I didn't want to get back, just to clarify that when I said that they get tested by the company, it's actually an independent testing company that tests for the ASTM standards. So I just wanted to make sure was clear to everyone, because I didn't.
For the record.
Yeah, for the record.
I'll speak. My name is Deborah Wolf. I live in Hudson View Gardens. I'm 63 years old. My partner is an elder who is recovering from cancer. We have a dog. We go to Bennett Park every day. And I moved to the area 2 years ago. I lived in the East Village where I watched East River Park have hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of trees destroyed. And with a new reconstruction, which is also going to be artificial. The city is being short-sighted. It's not thinking of the environment. And it breaks my heart. I moved up here to be in a green environment. And I don't have that now. I'm seeing plastic being put on a green area that could have indigenous grasses. It could have flowering plants. I'm an herbalist. I go foraging on the edges of the park. That won't be available to me. My partner cannot walk to Fort Tryon Park. My partner cannot walk to Jaywood Lake Park. So I'd just like to say that environmentally, this is a disaster. It's making me sick. Thank you.
I'll do a break and I'll do a couple of virtual responses. Dear Mrs. Shimamura, my kids have been playing in Bennett Park since they were ages of yours, 4 and 1. They are now 9 and 6, and they play in Bennett almost every day. If the carcinogenic plastic turf is put in, they will lose their neighborhood park. They will not be allowed to play there anymore. I watched my mother die of cancer. I watched a 15-year-old cousin die of cancer. I'm not messing around with carcinogenic, sorry, English is not my first language, plastic turf and my kids. Thank you for understanding this. The community does not want this plastic turf. And that was Doug Watts. And then we have somebody else, Kira Young. To add my concerns regarding the turf to Bennett Park, I walk through there often at nights with my dog, and the park is overrun by rats at night. With turf put in the park will be a breeding ground for leptospirosis. Yes, next person.
Hi, my name is Rachel Kagan. I grew up in the neighborhood, and when I was growing up, there actually weren't that many kids in the neighborhood. Our neighborhood has really changed since I was growing up. We have so many kids now, and there are so many kids who use Bennett Park daily. My daughter is 2.5. We come up the elevator from her daycare, the subway elevator from her daycare, and stop at Bennett Park almost every day. We are here because I actually reached out to the community board just about a year ago, and was given kind of a whole history of the issue of grass at Bennett Park, and told that basically I was too late. And I wish that I had followed up a little bit more after that, because it's clear that the community really was not consulted in the way that I thought and that was presented to me. No problem.
We have-
There's a reason my daughter
we-
is not.
Yeah.
Um.
And this is a community board member, so with her child. So yes.
And so I wish that I had pursued it a little bit more, a year ago. But it's clear that the community, when this started to become really present, once the barricades went up, once it started to become clear that this was happening, that people didn't know about, that people really mobilized against it. We are not going to let my daughter play on this turf. It really feels to me like all of the science everywhere in the world is moving in one direction, and that is away from this. I understand how frustrating it must be being on the community board and having Bennett Park just be an issue over and over and over again. How the presence of grass, the absence of grass, the dogs, the children, all of this, I'm sure must, especially if you've been on the community board for a long time.
1 year, so I'm good. 1 year.
But I had heard from a community board member last year who had clearly been on the community board for a long time and had clearly had this brought up again and again and again. And it felt to me like the idea of artificial turf was to put this to bed once and for all. And that's just not how it's going to work. Not only does artificial turf degrade and need to be replaced on not too much longer of a timeline than it seems like the grass has lasted during various resoddings. But it feels like this is going to create health concerns and issues and environmental concerns and issues that have never existed when we just, every 5 or 8 or 10 years resodded that area. So it's very frustrating to feel from the community perspective, like all of this happened starting 5 years ago, and my daughter wasn't born. I'm about to have another kid, and that the length of time that this turf will be at Bennett Park before it wears out and is either replaced again by synthetics or grass, hopefully, is exactly the time that my kids will be playing there. So.
I'm sorry, I didn't catch your name.
Rachel Hagan, K-A-G-A-N.
I have a lot of questions and comments, but yes, since I'm not gonna hold you off to, yeah.
Good evening, my name
Yes.
is Marina Yance, and I'm a foster parent of 2 toddlers. The one thing for the foster children that have been part of my family for over 2 years is creating a home for them. And the older toddler, who's now fluently speaking, daily asked to be taken to Bennett. That will also have to change. I will not permit a known health hazard to be in his or her access. As not having as many rights as a birth parent, I have very little say in what the children in my care have the rights. And so that is one thing I will absolutely detour them from daily use or ever use. A part that struck my attention was making sure that the youth across all levels of the community have access to the various programs when they perhaps would not otherwise do. And in my regard, from my perspective, this will be a matter of reducing my children's access to artificial turf that could potentially harm their health. Personally, as a child, I was physically at Chernobyl when the catastrophe happened there. And I am absolutely stunned that I'm having flashbacks from that experience. Luckily, I was a child, but my mother rescued me from the area of Chernobyl, and she was told that there's no concern and everything is fine and don't ask questions. And to come across this situation that, you know, where we are not provided with the information of the ingredients of the synthetic turf, that should be openly accessible to the public. You know, I'm glad that there are some controls set in place. However, I would like to have my eyes on it. I don't want to have an anecdote per se presented to my ears. And you know, it's quizzical to me to not be able to reach the contractor. The information posted at the project site with the telephone number and the email address is invalid. That's highly concerning. And you know, on also the maintenance part, if regrettably this will proceed to the installation of synthetic turf, I would also like to know how the maintenance is planned for the canine feces and urine to be maintained on the artificial turf. At present, having experienced parenthood at Bennett Park, it's already been an ongoing tug of war, to say it, you know, in politically correct terms, between some of the pet owners and some of the parents. And I can only imagine that this will lead to unusable space for most humans that are raising children. As you know, if the dog owners that do not abide by simple hygiene of even picking up the feces from the presently or the barricaded dirt patch, then I do not expect them caring to clean up once the turf is installed. So if the project does move forward, you know, we're hearing opinions from the community that it's an eyesore. Well, what will the solution be to the odor, in addition to the eyesore, if the pets are permitted to relieve their needs in the area? Thank you.
So before we continue, I have some messages that I want to read. And before we continue with answers provided by Parks, the commissioner, and the vice commissioner, what I'm hearing is there are concerns, health concerns about the turf, the validity of the research of the installation of said turf, the maintenance, hygiene concerns, both with regards to rodents and canine feces. There's also concern of proper notification, even though it's been just a year for myself and members of my committee of the Parks Committee of the PCA. There was concern about appropriate outreach, transparency of information, and solutions moving forward. So that's just a couple of bullet points, if I capture that accurately. Also history. What's that?
Please add environmental.
And also yes, these are the micro and then the macro environmental issues. Thank you for that. A couple of comments I will continue reading. This is Michelle, Doug's wife. The dirt field is currently heavily used. We don't want plastic. It will be used less if you cover it with plastic. It's not meeting the needs of those who actually use the field, mostly kids. Then there is Margot Ryan. I'm wholeheartedly against grass in Bennett. Forever plastic is a horrible addition, horrible. Please do not do this to our park. Ron Gesham, I'm reading it verbatim, so I'm not going to interpret. I'm just reading what's been typed. As a physician, scientist, and dad of Bennett Park toddler, I am highly concerned about rising rates of cancer in young patients, many of whom have taken care of myself. A leading hypothesis is that there are environmental toxins contributing to this rise. There are dozens of ongoing studies looking at purported links between cancer and plastics and incipient data supporting their link to, oh, this is a good word, atherosclerotic disease.
Atherosclerotic.
Thank you. Sorry, like I said, English is not my first language. Disease among other diseases. Putting in degradable plastic containing materials into a children's park strikes me as quite hubristic given the ongoing uncertainties. Thanks. There's still more messages coming in, but I can take a break if Parks and the commissioner want to address some of these
Can I
concerns.
make a quick comment real fast before they even like.
Sure,
speak?
sure.
No, I like want to thank all of them like for just sharing your stories,
Right.
like very moving. And I don't know about this Bennett Park issue, and like this is like kind of like the first time that I hear about it. I wonder why is it that they're even doing that, and why would they honor like the highest point of Manhattan with like chemicals like that? Or
Well, they can answer that, yeah.
But I just wanted just to let them know that I hear them and I feel for y'all. Like, I love that park. I like grew up in this neighborhood and every time like when I run and I feel like shit, like I go to that park.
This is
my bad,
recorded
my bad.
publicly.
But when I feel like that, I run up to that park. And it's just like crazy to see that they're gonna just strip away like nature to put plastic, that's all.
But this is why also, I'm just here as a chair to broker the conversation and also to gain understanding. And we're going to give that opportunity to the parks team and the commissioner's team, because my understanding was that there was a resolution passed several years ago pertaining to this initiative. So if we can be provided with context, a timeline, a time frame, because if a resolution was passed then by the community board, that means that my understanding is that there was meetings, there was probably a resolution passed at the committee meeting, because resolutions do not get passed in the general board meeting before they get passed at the committee level. And we all know this because we've passed a couple of resolutions. So if anybody can shed light on that, that'll be fantastic.
Sure. Everything was, so with the community board, you guys would have had to have a public meeting with the Parks Committee, and you would have had to have a public meeting with your full board in order to pass the resolution. So that should be there. The community board members or the community boards have recordings of these meetings, and you have minutes, and it should be, you should be able to hold those things. I didn't look at CB12's website before this, but it could even be that your minutes are probably posted from whenever that meeting was. So I would recommend looking over there to see. And I think that the resolution was from the full board of April 2021. Vinny's nodding. So I would say that that's there.
May I speak? May I speak?
Wait, I'm sorry.
We're doing a lot of cross-talking, which is against our community rules. So, not to the top, but just overall. So normally what needs to happen is each person gets the floor for their amount of time. And then what happens is a hand is raised and then it goes to the next person. So once the commissioner is done, we can, Jenna can move as such.
I think Barbara Frazier, I can pause there. I was writing down notes to Luana as everybody was speaking, but I think Barbara, who's been on the board for a while, may have some institutional memory here that could be useful. So I'm going to pause.
So Barbara, since you're the when I say oldest, I mean the longest running member in parks. I'm not, so if you can speak to it, that'll be greatly appreciated.
Well, April 2021 is certainly during the time of COVID. And I certainly wouldn't want to, I may have even been at that meeting. I can tell you, and I have a pretty good memory, these issues of, I do remember there were arguments about the muddy hill of Bennett Park back then. And it was mainly around dogs being there or kids being there was really the thing that was discussed. Not and never at any point was anything ever said about synthetic issues, carcinogens, or the chemical makeups of these turfs and so forth. I may have, if I remember, or I would have wanted to, and I raise this question now. So really, in other words, what I am saying is whatever discussion occurred, topics and issues highly germane to that renovation were never raised, never discussed, never brought to the forefront. So it is well within the realm of the community board to amend and change a resolution when new information is brought to the front, if it's highly germane to a topic. Now, the other thing I wanted to say was that we are being posed with muddy, closed surfaces or synthetic turf. I have to ask, and I know this was many years ago, the whole central lawn at Central Park was discussed, and a whole renovation of how to redesign lawns was put forth. And I can tell you, it ain't going to happen that there be synthetic turf on the central lawn in Central Park. So I would like to know, how is the lawn in Central Park maintained, and what is the landscaping technique used there on something that's one of the most used lawns in the universe? And no one talks about synthetic turf there. Thank you. Mute me. Oh, I can.
Alexis?
I will say this. Two things. Also check YouTube, because all of those, let me speak, all of those things should be on there. Okay, and if you can't find them, then reach out to Kathy Diaz, and hopefully who is the chairperson, and hopefully she can find them for you, right?
Or Ebenezer Smith.
Or Ebenezer Smith. So, here's what's going on, and this is what I really believe. We're not Central Park. We're not Riverside Park. They don't give a crap about us up here. Okay, this is the truth. We are looking at serious inequity in every sense of the word in this community. We don't have digital equity. We don't have internet access. We don't have the funding does not come up this way as much as we all want it to. And parks would like the funding to come up this way.
Exactly.
Upper Manhattan Parks does not get the funding that the conservancies of Riverside and Central Park do. So what I want to tell you all is nobody is thinking like, oh, you guys are just here. It's like, no. This hasn't really been discussed before. We are hearing you. We are respecting what you were saying. And great that you got more signatures. Keep collecting those signatures. Keep collecting the signatures and get more signatures. And I want you to come again, I'll say, ask to speak at the general meeting. Let everybody hear you on record. Because we can all be angry. We can all be upset. However, when you convene in I don't even know, my words are escaping me. I'm old.
In a crowd, in a game,
When you assemble,
There you
but you
go.
assemble with, again, but organize your facts, organize your statements, and come and present at the general meeting again. Exactly. Which is the general meeting is Thursday, the 25th at 6:30.
But you also have to email it a certain amount in advance, so you can, I mean, you can also go up, but if you want to do a particular presentation, I think, don't you have to get permission beforehand?
Sure, or they can just do like the public session.
You could also do public
Session, yeah.
which is what public session in our general meeting comes first versus here in our community meeting comes last. And that was part of your issue. You said everyone else got to speak because they were already on the agenda. So I just want to be clear that you weren't being overlooked as more of that, your new business, and that's the last item on our agenda.
Right. And then I'll also forward this to Carmen De La Rosa and Commissioner, we will be forwarding you this. I believe there are about 300 signatures here. I want to be respectful and continue reading the comments that are coming through the chat. Yeah, go ahead.
Sorry, if there's an opportunity for Vinny to kind of talk about some of the like very specifics around, again, more testing, research, all of those other pieces, would love to get that done too, but respect the
I'll do three to four comments, because the same way that people have been waiting to speak, I also want to be respectful of the people that have been waiting online to also provide their insights. This is Kira Young. I wrote my comment to the host and panelists, and I like to share with everyone. I walk my dog often through Bennett Park at night, and the park is overrun with rats. Adding turf to Bennett Park will increase a breeding ground. Oh, I said this already. I'm sorry. Leptospirosis. I know, see, that's a word that I remember. Okay, as a park of historic significance, I would also question the aesthetics of adding synthetic turf. I wish that alternative solutions be brought to the table that serve the space, trough resistant native plants, pavers, alternative ground covers, and then specify trough draft above. I think I'm reading that correctly. I think this is Maddie Lady.
I found the minutes.
Yeah, let me finish. I have to jump. I will watch the remaining on YouTube. Okay. And then there's some articles also that have been posted on the chat. Commissioner, Vice Commissioner, and Parks. I'm a parent of a 2-year-old and a newborn and live a block away from Bennett Park. I want to echo the health and environmental concerns that many of my neighbors have raised about installing synthetic turf at Bennett Park. I'm hoping to hear from the Community Board and Parks Department about the next steps for addressing these concerns, particularly given how time sensitive this is with construction ongoing. So that's a good segue for you, because the next comment, that person has already commented. So I'll segue for the information, next steps, clarification, and such.
Sure. Yeah, no, I'll just talk a little bit about the design process too again. So we did have that community input meeting in October of 2020. It was held virtually. Like the commissioner had said when we started here, is that we had it open to public for public comments. So we were at that point through the pandemic, there was, we wanted to keep our capital projects moving, because that is something like you said, when we have money, we have about $1 million here for this park. We're really excited to actually spend that money and get it into the community and as quickly as possible. So at that point, we worked with our partners in city government, figuring out how to do that during COVID times. And that was where the advent of Zoom meetings and those types of things, which we actually still continue to this day, because we find that we've gotten actually more input through Zoom and through other hybrid means of getting input right in the field with folks. And like I think we already discussed that, our design team then goes back. So we have landscape architects that look at the community input that we received. And so here there was that issue of the natural grass getting too much play, and the reality of how to keep a natural grass area closed. So I know that there was mentioned about, a Central Park Great Lawn or other lawns that, seem to be staying in good shape. It's because they're managed so heavily that they keep people off the grass for multiple days to let the grass rest. And that's just what they need to do. What happens is when grass is compacted, people being on it, enjoying it, as you should be all enjoying the parks there, you enjoy it sometimes to death, where the grass can actually grow because the soil is so compacted. So what they do is, in places where it's highly managed, they keep people off. During rain events, they keep people off on, certain days to let that rest, let the soil kind of decompress and those types of things. And that does help grass survive a little bit longer. really, really hard to do in small lawn areas like this. So that's why our design team is looking at alternatives. How do we keep some natural turf area? Because there is natural turf area that we're putting back. There's that smaller area to the north that is still going to be grass that we're keeping. We're going to renovate that as a grass lawn. There's areas to the east of where we're doing the synthetic turf that will be a lawn area that's really planted heavily, where a lot of our stormwater capture is going to capture some of the stormwater in the area. And then again, the synthetic turf, which is in the area that we've seen the most compactness. And so that's where it was decided. And then we came back in April of 2021 to the community board, presented those plans, and got the community board at that time their approval. And so at that point, we move on to construction documents. So again, I just want to state again is that we have a specifications department that does a lot of the work, but we rely on other folks that know this stuff better, which is that ASTM that I was talking about, the EPA, all of our friends at, the Department of Health in the city, the Department of Health in the state. We work with all these people who are those experts in the field. And then what we're also looking at is durability of certain materials and those types of things. But with all this, I know there's a lot of discussion of chemicals and all these types of things. That's why we rely on the EPA and the ASTM, which are these scientists, that this is their job to make sure that what we're putting out there is healthy. And again, I wanted to say that the Parks Department is always at the forefront of when we are hearing this feedback. I mean, I'm here tonight listening to this. I know Commissioner Shimura is here tonight listening here. We want to understand some of the concerns here that you're having, particularly in this site, because we want to take that back. We want to discuss it internally and how to move forward. But this is something that we really, at the Parks Department, take a pride in, is that we are at head first of looking at what is the industry doing, where do we want to go as a city. We want to be at that forefront, be ahead of it. And again, working with our partners who are those scientists, looking at the chemicals and these types of things that make materials really in all of our days' lives. I mean, we are living in that age. We want to make sure what we're doing in our parks is safe. So again, we take all precaution that we can. But I really appreciate everyone taking the time to come out this late. Really, I mean, caring for your park. I mean, that is why we're all here. So thank you for doing what you're doing. We really do appreciate it.
I'm going to read two more comments. At this point, because I also want to be mindful of the time, we are approaching the 9 o'clock mark. If the comments are in agreement with what has been said here in this meeting, I'm just going to make an executive decision and just skip those, unless there's something new or something that has not been mentioned before. So let's see, the dangers of PFAS in any amount, the potentially high temperatures on turf in the summer, the fact that these kinds of materials are being banned in other municipalities, and harm to residents, plants, animals, and fungi. I live nearby with my toddler, but I will not permit my child to play. So I guess there is a question though, which I will read. How much will the artificial turf installation cost? And how about the upkeep and replacement? And how does this compare to other options? So just for the people online, I'm just going to start reading questions now, because we are in agreement as a community about the general concerns. They have been brought to the forefront, and to be mindful of the time, I'm just taking questions right now. And this idea, I already also put the website to getting the links to all of the community board meetings, gaining access to the minutes. Danny has that. And then somebody suggested to explore at the community level a Bennett Park Conservancy. Okay. Oh, and thank you. Much respect for this committee tonight. You have afforded more public discourse on this issue tonight than in the past 4 years. Thank you, committee. Thank you for that. I had to read that. Thank you. We do take the concerns seriously. We want to have a conversation. We want to be collaborative. We want to work collaboratively. But we also want to find sort of like a meeting ground, a compromise, next steps. Like I said, we have 300 signatures here, so that it is a real concern. Just because people are not here present doesn't mean that they're not informed or not concerned, because the 300 signatures are testament or evidence to that. Danny and then Barbara.
I want to just point something out real fast, because I'm like here, like looking at the minutes and remembering that back then it was Zoom, and seeing the attendance, like there's at least probably like 50 people in attendance. And the fact that in the minutes, it just says here, it was a lengthy discussion, but there's no comments about the public and what the public wants. I remember when they were redesigning the basketball court at 186, we had an actual public discussion where we went to like the public, or we found a spot for them and we heard what they want. The city heard us. And then they were like, okay, like we're gonna come back with like a different design.
Yeah.
This is the design, like what do you think? And it wasn't like 100% the public, 100% the park, but it was collaborative and everyone was happy. And I think what we should do, and if this project hasn't even started yet, it should just be halted and we should listen to these people, because the fact that there's like more than 50 people in attendance in that day, and that there's like more than 300 people across, not only that lives in the area of that park, but across like from 218 all the way down to like probably like 150 something. Cause I was like looking at all that, and all the kids as well too, that we're like advocating for. I was asking the kids' age because like, you know, when they're young, we don't know, like they don't know nothing. So we have to take care of them. And that sucks that this is just like, this is happening now, you know?
We have one more comment. Present, oh, I'm sorry, yes, you haven't spoken, so I'm gonna let him speak, if that's okay. I'm putting my elementary school teacher hat here, so yes. And then also, please, we wanna be mindful of the time. Barbara, you will go after, and then I'm not saying that we're going to find sort of like an immediate solution, but at least there are some next steps, and that is to come to the general meeting as well, because this is the committee level. The general level then creates a bigger impact, and then all of this will be forwarded to elected officials and such. Yes.
Hello all. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Julian Segura. I'm a candidate for the 71st Assembly District, where Bennett Park is located. Now, as someone who would be responsible for the area in which this park is laying, I've been on the ground quite a bit speaking to people. And this is a massive issue, as you've seen from the group behind me. We're no longer in 2020 or 2021. We have a much better understanding of plastics, much better understanding of the science. And we're moving away from the fossil fuel industry's propaganda on these things. At this point, we need to make sure that we are using the relevant time, right? It is currently 2024. We're not in the same place as we were. We are no longer a dumping ground in Upper Manhattan. The days of us being underfunded, underfocused, let's just go $1 million on a plastic lawn, those days are over. And that's what I'm here to say is, in solidarity with these folks, I'm going to be coming to the general meeting and ensuring that these concerns are brought to the table, because look, at the end of the day, we came to this decision as a community board prior to any of these concerns being on top of people's heads. Now that we are dealing with the ramifications of those decisions, we have to look back and retroactively think about all of these issues. And that's what this entire thing was about. So
Thank you.
just here to speak my words of solidarity with the groups behind me.
Thank you. Alexis, you had.
No, I got it. Yeah. Get organized. Get people to come. You're gonna have 2 minutes. Everybody gets like 2 minutes to speak during a public meeting. Organize. I have to ask, Danny, do you remember, or Janet would know, wasn't there a Friends of Bennett Hill Park organization? Don't they have a Friends of organization?
They do, they don't do anything.
Okay. Well, now is
We
the
should knock
time.
on their door.
Yeah,
Now is the
Yeah.
time.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're thinking about just being our, right, like starting to do like an environmental
do them.
organization, really not just, I mean, this is just one issue, but there's a lot of other issues in the park. And I think a lot of people have been wanting to organize around them, and Friends of Bennett, like Bennett Park haven't, been active, and other groups haven't been active.
You should be the leader. There you go.
Yeah, because they used to come, I
Right there, both of
Friends
you,
of Bennett
all
Hill
of you,
Park.
that's it, you know?
The Friends of
Because
Bennett-
they're here,
Yeah.
Let Alexis speak.
my bad.
Yeah, go ahead, Alexis.
The Friends of Bennett Hill Park used to come to these meetings regularly, and I have to say that we have not seen them in quite some time. And so, yeah.
I didn't even know they existed.
Yeah, I remember this from like a while ago.
Yeah.
Barbara, do you remember who was leading that up?
No, I don't, but I was going to mention that. And that's also where in 2021, the big issue was not synthetic turf, which never was brought up in any substance. It was dog park versus kids for the use of that space. And that was the big issue or the big argument. And of course, kids won out. So bring that up. Number two, good point, Alexis. I was going to say that too. When the speakers come to the general meeting, they're new to community board. They've got to have very carefully concise, prepared statements because you will have only 2 minutes each to speak. Tonight, we let people be very conversational and kind of ramble and give discourses and backgrounds. You can't do that. You've got to come with a punchy 2-minute statement that makes your point. I am here tonight because you're going to give my kid cancer because I believe this. 2 minutes.
And get the facts. Put those
And facts, not your feelings or your what you thought about as a kid and therefore it reminds you of this. No. Facts and where you stand. One person who talked about being raised here and now having a kid. I didn't know whether she was for or against synthetic turf. You know, you've got to make it very clear. The other thing I want to bring up was in California, Gavin Newsom, not really a fan of his, believe me, but he recently passed a California law that now allows communities to ban synthetic turf. Local option in California. I give one to Gavin for that. I wouldn't probably for anything else. We're not political here, but I do say it is now a local option in California to ban synthetic turf. Also, depending on the turf, I don't know exactly what they use there. All soccer fields by 2025 in Europe, I believe, can have to be natural grass, not synthetic turf. Also, Sweden and Norway have banned synthetic turf. And this is also because of the carcinogenic, not just because it's, burns your knees. It's because of the carcinogenic components. So it is around the world a normal topic. You're not extreme greenie to see this as an issue. It is on the table, a normal thing to talk about. Just like, let's say, 40 years ago, secondhand smoke began to be talked about, let's say, something like that, okay? So I bring that up. I would like every member of our board, every Parks Committee member to Google that over the next week about the other countries in the world, the other states in the United States, and I would like us to do some homework because we may be doing a resolution and it's our responsibility to be better informed. Okay. Right. Someone also said Boston already banned artificial turf, but let me point out the Parks Department made an important distinction between the bubble stuff, the little micro bubble stuff, and the kind of artificial turf that they are proposing. So we have to be better informed about that. Okay. Anything else to say?
Barbara, I want to
that's
let speak. And once again, I want to emphasize to be mindful of time. And if there's anything new, but I really want maybe perhaps Jenna to close out maybe with final, question. Let's have a question that Jenna perhaps can answer.
I really looked all over with my partner too, which did a lot of hard work on that. I've tried to find the minutes from the October 29th, 2020 meeting, the only real meeting where I guess there was input, because in the April 2021 meeting, it was really like, here's our plan, we already made it, we're presenting it.
I saw that, I saw both.
Right, it was not like, there was no more input, it was already like, and now we already talked about this, like, all concerns dismissed, and I heard Mr. Cerrito, sorry, I'm not pronouncing your name right, he was talking a lot about the October 2020, like what happened there, so I don't know if he has access to those like minutes or video and can send them to us. And then also I heard mention
I'll show you the link later.
That there, like with the community resolution, there had to be a committee meeting, there had to be a board meeting. So can someone send those to us when they're
I can give you my email. As the chair, I can give you my email and I can forward whatever it is that I can find prior to my being chair here. I can forward those to you.
Great.
I could,
Ebenezer should get that for you. As district manager, it's his responsibility to pull up that information for you,
Yeah.
Luana.
Barbara, I'll put everybody on an email and they can take it from there.
I could
Okay.
literally just like show you where you can get the minutes real fast, like after the
Danny,
meeting.
I want to finish. There's still two more hands up. So, Jana, you were first.
Yes, thank you. I just wanted to answer Alexis. Alexis, yes, Friends of Bennett Park. We actually had a meeting with them in January, a public open meeting. About 100 people attended. They are still active.
Who's leading it, Jana?
Claude Myers and Jonathan Tischler. And Danny Glover was also a coordinator of it.
We were there.
We were
We were
there, I was
there,
there.
and we said these concerns, and it was just totally
And
just.
this issue was raised and discussed.
It was
Just wanted to share that, Alexis, to your question.
But it was raised by one community member.
Dismissed out of hand
It was
immediately.
It was completely, we already decided this, and even someone actually said, yeah, we've heard some concerns and they don't sound good, but it's already decided and we're new here.
It's too late. You can't do anything about it. It's already been approved.
So that's
part of
where
my
the too late came from.
That's one of the two lates.
It's
We
been
also
too
got
late
it
for
late
2
last
years.
May from the community.
It was.
We're at
It was.
the October 2020 meeting, it was too late.
Yeah.
So
It
I'm
was,
going to
it was
raise
shared that the,
again.
yes, it was shared that the community board resolution had gone through and the construction was coming. That's what was,
So-
that was meant by that.
Thank you. I'm going to rein this back in and we're going to backtrack to find minutes, resolutions, and create sort of like a paper timeline. Okay, and then have Ebenezer collect emails and do that. Commissioner Shimamura?
If there's any other members of the public who want to speak, I'm here listening, and I just wanted to mention.
Yeah,
I just wanted to give some last thoughts whenever you're ready, Luana. But I'm still here listening.
Yes, ready.
Oh, right now. Okay.
And apparently what I'm reading here is that people have been in contact with Liz, who was the chair then. But like I said, what we're doing now is we're going to backtrack and find the paper trail of the resolution, the minutes, and of sorts. And that's going to be the next step. Yes, go ahead.
So I just wanted to, I know it's a long meeting and I know that we're ending things here, but I felt like I should probably just say a few things at the end here. One is that everybody whose comments were put into that chat, I'm reading, and even if Luana wasn't able to read all of them, I read them, I promise, and I'm taking copious notes here. I'm gonna follow back up with Vinny. I wish that we had even more time to try to address some of these other things, because but I can tell you that I will be following up. I'll follow up with my team. We'll try to figure out a way to, whether it's me coming back next month or at some other point to try to talk to, I'll figure out a way to answer some of your other questions that you were raising tonight. We're trying to be as responsive as we can be here. I want to just say to some of the other Parks Committee members, I hear all of the concerns, but I just want to say that, as much as possible, I care about this community. This agency cares about this neighborhood. This is not about Central Park or another more affluential area. I sincerely, from my heart to yours, I do care. That's why even 9 days in, I'm here. My kids, didn't get to see me tonight, but that's okay, because I'm here, and I know that you're here fighting for your family, and I'm trying to show you as much as possible that we do very much care about this neighborhood. We do very much care about the future of this neighborhood, and to the extent that we can work together. I actually think it's a great idea the idea of, if there's not an active conservancy, if there's something that we can move forward with trying to build that up more, I think it's cool and great, and would love to try to see how I can help with that. I can't really make any commitments, of course. Right now I'm just 10 days in and literally still hearing all of these things. So I will commit to you, though, to the extent that I can, that will be following up on your questions. I will continue to coordinate with this committee. I will continue to work with this committee to get answers to additional questions that are being asked. You know, I hear all of it, and I'm very grateful for you all spending your time here tonight to share your concerns with us. And I'm thankful to all the members of my team who are listening into this as well, because you know I'm going to be following up with you as well. So thank you.
Final, really final. We all have jobs, children, yes.
That's the comment that Commissioner Shimamura wants to help out. I'm just wondering if there's a way to slow down or pause construction while we get organized and have a next committee meeting, because it's already begun. Because there's like clear support for what we're doing all around. And we're actually in the community. I'm asking the Parks Department can pause the synthetic turf piece of construction and let the community hear us out.
They should, yeah.
Before we go
There should be a
forward.
stop order for that.
Frankly, I can't really say at this point. You know, the construction, it's not like it just started right now. This has been in the works for quite a long time. I don't really know what happens in terms of budget when you pause a construction project like this, and in terms of the money you just heard us advocating for other pieces. It's a set amount of funds that we have. So I frankly just don't know the answer to that. I wish I did. I can certainly look into it, but I just don't really know how that all impacts, and I can't promise that I have the ability to do that, or that we even could without leaving it as an abandoned project. I mean, I'm not saying that it is, but you know, we have set amount of money that happens with these projects, and so I just really don't know what happens, how that impacts it.
So can you point the members of the community into the direction of who can answer that question, Commissioner?
I mean, I'm certainly,
yeah, pausing.
I mean, it really should be me and my team here. But I'm saying that I certainly can't commit to pausing the project. I certainly can't say that this is going to be paused. This has gone through our regular process, and certainly I know I get all the other pieces to this, but really, you know, I will be communicating with all of these things with the New York City Commissioner for Parks, which is Sue Donahue, and we'll be relaying all this to her, and our first Deputy Commissioner, Iris Rodriguez Rosa, for certain. But I will just say that it's certainly not as easy as just kind of putting pause on the construction team that's already there, that a project that's been in the works for several years, without really potentially making it very difficult with the funding that we have. So I just can't, I really can't commit to anything right now.
This thing was supposed to start in Labor Day 2020.
So, I mean, we're not gonna get, if we continue with the back and forth, we're not going to end. So right now, there are a lot of what we're hearing is that there are many moving pieces, that it's not just the decision to pause is not in the hands of just one person. There are other variables. There's also the question of money. So we have already devised several steps. And since we're closing this discussion, one more thing, Kaya, I am so sorry. 2 to 3 minutes to do programming, and thank you so much for sticking it to the end. And I apologize. I was so involved with this discussion. Thank you. Kaya Samorkas with some announcements. 2 minutes.
Okay.
Kaya, you're with the Friends of Inwood Hill Park.
Yes. Thank you for everyone for sticking around, for hearing me out. I will try to keep this short and sweet and very calm. So I'm here with Friends of Inwood Hill Park on behalf of our steering committee. As Jana mentioned many hours earlier, we are rapidly approaching our Earth Day celebration. I actually just got our beautiful new flyers from the printer, so you will start seeing these around everywhere we can put them up. So they're going to be in all the subway stations, everywhere north of Dykeman. They're going to be in a lot of local businesses where we've gotten permission. As a quick overview, we're going to be having guided ecology hikes. Those are going to be for adults, but also families with kids. We're going to be doing plantings, both of actual plants, if you want to dig in the earth, and also kind of a seed sowing project for native seeds. And that's going to be more of an adult activity, more physically robust, but there's something really for all ability levels, all ages, in the morning and in the afternoon. There's going to be street tree stuff. So this is all going to be kind of meeting at the Isham and Seaman Avenue. It's all on our flyer and on the Eventbrite that you can view via the flyer. But if anyone is not super tech savvy, this is going to be April 20th is the primary day. There's actually a poetry hike, a sunset poetry hike. So we will all be meeting at Isham and Seaman, the little half moon right across from the farmer's market. And everything will be coming there. This is being promoted on our social media accounts, mainly Facebook and Instagram. And we have a number of partner groups who are going to be there, including New Yorker for Parks, Riverkeeper, the New York State Department of Environmental Conservation is going to be there, the WIN Food Council, We Act for Environmental Justice, which I think Marilady was from, Beyond Plastics, the Inwood Butterfly Sanctuary. I think we invited Grow NYC. I mean, the whole town is coming out. We're hoping to get Carmen De La Rosa's office to come as well, and potentially Robert Jackson's. If CB12 wants to make an appearance, we'd be very happy to have you. We're getting t-shirts.
Hey.
And then my
Wow.
last 30 seconds is that we are also having a partner event on May 4th with Inwood Canoe Club, who spoke also about 3 or 4 years ago. Just kidding. That's going to be part of the River Keepers annual sweep that's working on the entire Hudson estuary. It's an annual thing, hoping to become a more frequent occurrence throughout the year. And as part of Inwood Canoe Club's getting people on the water, we're proposing a on-water portion to the cleanup of actually getting people out in boats to scoop directly out of the water. So that would be very cool. Thank you very much. If there are any questions, I will take them. Best of luck to our friends at Bennett Park.
Kaya, thank you so much.
Meeting adjourned?
Well, I'm gonna get a motion to adjourn this meeting, but not before I say that if you want to contact the people that were here tonight that stuck it out all the way until the end, the email is no synthetic turf@gmail.com.
That's you guys, right?
It's us.
No synthetic.
Oh, it's not you?
No, it is.
Do I have a
No.
Motion to adjourn.
second?
No.
Meeting has been adjourned at 9:22 and we still kept it under 3 hours. So don't give me a hard time.
Danny.
Thank you, everybody.
Danny
Thank you.
and Alexis.